Adventure Time is one.
Get a couple videos to watch so that way I can. Damn.
Within every single one of us, there are approximately 3.16 billion base pairs of DNA, which contain not only our genetic information, but also hold our deepest biological secrets, including the darkest, most twisted ones. At least, that's the case according to a few studies, which have apparently found evidence that not so long ago, much of the known world was rife in violent, bloody conflict that was so brutal that its ramifications have lasted until today. It is completely unknown to most, and yet in some ways represents the first global conflict humanity has ever experienced, as it spanned across much of the inhabited world.
World War Caveman.
Making violence near universal and escape impossible. It's not every day that we find evidence for such a destructive conflict, let alone through our very own DNA. But that's supposedly what happened after researchers analyzed the genomes of modern populations, finding evidence of a very distinct genetic bottleneck. Now, bottlenecks in general is what occurs when a population experiences a drastic drop in numbers, resulting in lower genetic diversity. And it is honestly somewhat common in nature, with even humans having endured more than one, with a particularly deadly and famous one having took place approximately 900,000 years ago due to Mother Nature's shenanigans. But the one I'm talking about, and that these researchers identified, was much more recent and seemingly our own fault. To be exact, a team took a look at chromosome sequences in contemporary humans and noticed evidence of a massive drop in genetic diversity only a few thousand years ago during the late Neolithic period in the Old World, i.e. Europe, Asia, Middle East, etc.
Yep.
And suggesting that a lot of people died or disappeared relatively quickly.
It's interesting.
Now, anything that
old
heavily
world
impacts a
concepts.
population could have been considered an answer to this mysterious die-off. Yet what was so odd is that the bottleneck was only really seen in Y chromosome diversity, which is unique to males and passed on from father to son. While in the mitochondrial DNA, which is passed down through females, researchers
It was a war over bitches.
found no matching drop in diversity. In other words, something had happened which clearly affected a lot of men, but not nearly as many women, leading to the researchers' idea that unprecedented violence may have had been the explanation. Because if the perpetrator was a volcanic eruption, severe weather, or some other form of Mother Nature, you'd expect the drop in genetic diversity to be more or less equal between genders, not just in one. And really, a drop is not the best word to describe what happened to the men, as a more appropriate word would be decimated, with the scientists estimating that this event was so horrific that by the time it subsided, the effective male population in Africa, Europe, Asia, and the Middle East had been reduced by up to 95%, meaning that theoretically, only 1 in 20 men survived this purge, with women possibly outnumbering men 17 to 1.
Damn.
No conflict in recorded history comes even close to this kind of lethality by a percentage, not even World War I or World War II. And if you wanted to recreate such a brutal conflict today, then there'd have to be a loss of approximately 3.9 billion men, leaving only about 200 million standing. Naturally, when someone claims that our DNA is proof that a terrible conflict happened, you'd expect to find at least a couple of bodies lying around that we could point to as hard evidence. And as it turns out, there are lots and lots and lots of them. In fact, it's actually hard to miss them, and we discovered well over 250 late Neolithic dated sites where violent deaths have occurred, and
That was
that's
me, not
just
you
in
guys.
Europe alone. And even in general, Neolithic humans are notorious for being found in grim conditions, and containing unparalleled amounts of bodily harm, especially when compared to earlier or later humans. With one analysis of more than 2,300 early farmers, finding that over 10% of the men and women displayed injuries reflecting weapons, likely from raiding parties or competition that attacked for their crops and livestock. Another analysis of 338 individuals in Spain found that 23% showed signs of aggressive damage, with adult and adolescent males especially being heavily impacted, making up 97% of the unhealed individuals and 81% of those that showed healed trauma, suggesting that it was very common to experience more than one violent encounter in a lifetime. And obviously these numbers are pretty darn high, but they're not the 95% inferred in the study. Yet research points out that in many cases, violent attacks don't actually leave marks in the bones, with only 15% of fatal melee attacks with sharp weapons leaving any sort of bone lesions behind. And you also have to take into account infections, disease, and other indirect modes of death that are associated with conflict. Now, obviously, these weren't the first people to be found murdered by their own, but their frequency was no doubt extreme. And scientists noted two things that became exceptionally common during this period: battles and indiscriminate massacres, with multiple sites of brutality being known of. One of the most gruesome is the Talheim death pit located in Germany, which is dated to about 5000 BC. Here, scientists unearthed the remains of at least 34 individuals who had been brutally slain.
You know, as fucked up as everybody says the times are, I'm glad I wasn't born during the caveman World War.
And what's crazy is that none of the skeletons bore any kind of defensive injuries, which implies that they were fleeing and not fighting the attacking party. And across the board, the killing blows could all be placed in just three categories: those that were made by a sharp side of an adze-like tool, those by the blunt side, and finally, the ones killed by arrows, which only accounted for 3.
Take me out with an arrow, bro. Fuck getting beat to death with a fucking stick, dog. Fuck that.
Of the 34 victims. Analysis on the skulls also showed that warriors back then often aimed for the head, with all but 4 of the skeletons having lethal cranial injuries, sometimes on top of already deadly wounds. And among the dead, 16 had been children, 9 of them adult men, and 7 being older females, while younger women were noticeably absent, a popular theme amongst Neolithic massacre sites, suggesting that they were viewed as valuable and likely as a trophy, being kidnapped by the victors. This particular attack took place within a settlement that possessed fortifications, like palisades, which only further proves that back then, there was a strong need to wall yourself off from other humans. And sure enough, other massacre sites that took place in settlements also had fortifications, like the Massacre of Schlitz, which likely took place in 5000 BC as well, occurring not so far away in Austria. And this one was far deadlier, with 200 victims being known of that were carelessly dumped in a mass grave after a raid on a settlement. Like Talheim, there was again a noticeable lack of dead women, and lots of dead men, but this slaughter did differ in some ways. First off, on top of presumably kidnapping adult women, they also might have captured pre-teens and young teenagers, as they too were noticeably few among the dead. And another grim difference was that in this attack, many of the dead were found without their arms and legs, while severed skulls were located separately, evidence of potential torture and human dismemberment.
Yeah,
this could have also been a tradition for the attacking party, and showcased that different combatants had varying rituals. For example, in Asia, headhunting was particularly common. And another poignant case that further demonstrates this happens to be the largest known prehistoric mass grave, Herxheim, in Germany, and that occurred between 5300 and 4950 BC. But instead of a ravaged settlement, archaeologists actually believe they found a community that were the ravagers, having created at least 80 pits right outside their 15-acre large village that were essentially filled to the brim with victims, which so far is estimated to have exceeded 1,000 individuals, possibly up to 1,500, and ranged in age from newborns to elders. And if we account for the population difference between then and now, it would almost be like a city building a mass grave with over 800,000 corpses right outside their city walls. And nearly each one was processed in a similar way, with the native population dismembering and breaking bones, while also cleaving their skulls down the middle. In fact, so many skulls were cut and seemingly defleshed that researchers reckon that this community were skull cultists that used the heads in some ritual.
What the fuck?
And most likely ate pieces of them as well, with the brain being an...
I've never heard that before. Skull cultists.
especially prized part considering its fatty content. There are also signs that the tongues were often removed from the dead and that the bones were crushed for easy marrow extraction. And to sprinkle just a bit more queasiness into this, scientists further realized that there were less spongy bone elements than there should have been, and that certain bones, like the metapodials
They
and
ate the
hand
marrow?
phalanges, showed preferential biting. In other words, these guys had their favorite parts of the body to munch on. Plus, many of the bodies were cooked,
Motherfuckers were chewing on bones like a dog, dude. Holy shit, man. Cavemen were savage as fuck, bro. Oh shit, my glasses fell apart.
with some even showing signs of having been spit roasted. And then, when it was all said and done, bones were processed into cups, other items, or turned into decorations.
That's weird.
As some were found near or on spikes,
The cup
where
kinda
the
sounds
entrance of
gangster.
the settlement was situated. Suffice to say,
Like, if I went to go meet some dude and he's just, like, drinking some shit out of a fucking skull, you can have whatever it is you need, sir.
this was just about the worst group you could get caught by. But avoiding them might have been harder than you would think, because despite the lack of transportation back then, they still managed to wage war on a large scale, with many of their
Yeah.
victims having come from vastly different cultures. Some
Yeah, imagine how scary that is, bro. Like, you're chilling in, like, in a tribal setting, and you pretty much know if you see somebody that you don't know, it's on. Like, there's probably like 30 other motherfuckers sitting on the other side of a hill waiting to just ambush your city or your people.
some of which were only found 300 miles or 482 kilometers away. The dead also ranged in lifestyle, with some having isotopes demonstrating that they were hunter-gatherers, while others had been farmers. And then you also had victims that came from up in the mountains and those from the lowlands, which all points to the idea that Herxheim's natives were horrifically bloodthirsty people who managed to carry out successful raids that required not only tactics, but a certain level of logistics.
Yeah.
And not to mention that while their
Well, Shaka Zulu took over. He took over Africa because, I mean, he basically taught a bunch of farmers how to flank motherfuckers. That and pussy. I mean, pussy had a big part to do with it. But that flank shit, bro. Like, imagine these tribal people. You have like one tribe that knows how to flank motherfuckers. They're unstoppable.
settlement was large by a Neolithic standard, it was still significantly smaller than 1,000. And when I say 1,000, I mean less than 50 people. So impressive, in a very dark way. That being said, there are still some mysteries regarding this place. Like who exactly were the dead?
God,
Captives
but
of
that place
war,
feels fucking
slaves,
evil, bro.
or some just unlucky travelers that got too close. Also, no one is really sure what happened to the natives of Herxheim, with some tests suggesting that the settlement was abandoned soon after the massacres took place, with a maximum settlement time of 50 years following the burials, leading people to wonder if another group came seeking retribution.
Nah, bro, that shit just got fucking haunted, dog. You buried like 300 motherfuckers in your backyard, you're gonna get haunted, bro.
So obviously, it's hard to argue against Herxheim as being the most gruesome sight we know of. But, such weird, specific brutality
That's fucked.
was not isolated to just this case, and many more instances are known of. Warriors that collected heads, you've got it. Groups that systematically broke and removed shins, yep, there was that too. Xenophobic groups that hunted down and mutilated newcomers, boom, done.
Yep.
And then finally, you even had fighters that buried people alive, because apparently that was a thing as well. In addition to a diverse range of brutality, there was also a lot of diversity when it came to the weapons themselves, and many kinds of blunt and sharp weapons were used in battles, such as adzes,
That spear in real life would not travel shit. That shit was so goddamn bowed to the fucking... Look at this curved ass spear this man threw.
that was a thing as well. In addition to a diverse range of brutality, there was also a lot of diversity when it came to the weapons themselves, and many kinds of blunt
You ain't taking shit out with that, bro.
and sharp weapons were used in battles, such as adzes, spears, bows and arrows, axes, clubs, knives, scrapers, sickle and hoes, hammers, and the list goes on. And unfortunately for combatants, the level of armor back then did not match the innovativeness of their weapons,
Right.
with no standard protection being known of. And fighters likely didn't wear much besides animal skin, woven cloth, and plant material. This all made living exceptionally difficult for anyone.
Well, I mean, to be fair, I've worn buckskin clothing from head to toe. That shit's a lot thicker than what the fuck we wear right now, bro. I mean,
But especially for men capable of fighting. And simply growing up was an accomplishment. with a level of violence resulting in a measly lifespan of between 20 and 33 years old.
God
And
damn.
thus tying it for first place for the time when modern humans died the youngest. And this is even accounting for infant mortality, as even if you made it to, say, 15, you'd still be expected to not make it past 33. And so with all this nightmare fuel considered, it really just leads to one simple question, which is, what the hell was going on? Why was everyone seemingly in a non-stop fight with everyone else? And sadly, there isn't one single clear answer to this, but there are a few different ideas. And ironically, one of the top hypotheses pins it off as humans flying too close to the sun. To be exact, not so long before the violence kicked off, humanity entered the Neolithic Revolution, also known as the First Agricultural Revolution. This period in history saw many human cultures transition from hunter-gatherers to settlers and farmers.
Oh.
This allowed for a boost in population and the ability to establish full-fledged settlements, which in turn led to progress in other areas as well. And this sounds great on paper, but this success also meant that humans could now better organize large battle-worthy groups, courtesy of said settlements, and had access to a wider range of weapons than ever before. Additionally, this shift provided humans with new reasons to kill that didn't really exist beforehand.
It's crazy to think, man, like back in the day we all had a job. And there was basically one guy's job chilling in his fucking village to just come up with ideas of like weapons and shit. Like, what do you call this, my friend? I've never seen it before. I call this an axe. We use this to chop a fucker up. Like, what the fuck?
As they now knew that settlements and farms equaled guaranteed loot, food, and women all in one place. Furthermore, by proximity alone, settlements might have been viewed as hostile by others, and potentially as existential threats, leading to the notion that all neighbors were bad news and had to go. Another more specific idea that tries to answer how the Y chromosome in particular was so obliterated beyond just the violence states that as the revolution was underway, societal structures reorganized, with more and more people forming patrilineal kin groups. Perhaps because trust was a rare commodity and it was easier to rely on those you were related to.
Yep.
And this resulted in unrestricted movement for women, but very much restricted for men. In other words, no outsiders allowed if you were a guy. This would have made the Y chromosome very vulnerable, and explains why it was so affected when these clans waged war against one another, and ultimately leading to the genetic bottleneck being very much one-sided. But like many ideas, there are those that disagree with this hypothesis, and instead actually propose a peaceful explanation to this. Now obviously, as the abundance of skeletons show, violence was quite prevalent at the time. But, in terms of the genetic bottleneck, one team of scientists thinks that patrilineal clans may have split up often through a peaceful process called lineal fission. Since these new clans were made up of closely related males, their Y chromosome lineages became more vulnerable to disappearing over time, especially due to environmental hardships. This led to a gradual drop in Y chromosome diversity, as some male lineages were very successful in surviving, and others slowly faded away.
Yeah.
This was only further compounded by reproductive fitness, where some groups were much more successful, which led to more growing and splitting, only reinforcing their dominance, while others just couldn't keep up and eventually vanished. Of course, there is then the possibility that actually both of these ideas were on the right track, with peaceful and violent factors having worked together to bring the effective male population way down. Whatever the case, there's certainly no denying that something happened. And to this day, the legacy of this bottleneck remains, with certain populations still not being at the same diversity as pre-bottleneck levels. And if this had never happened, it's fair to say that things would be quite different. Still, our genetics overall have mostly recovered, and we don't kill everyone else on sight. So at least there's that improvement. Though it does lead to a second question, which is, how did all this potential bloodshed end? Well, it didn't, at least not in an absolute sense. Because over time, from a pure numbers point, more people did end up dying in wars,
Yep.
especially thanks to new technology.
But we just
It
had
just so
higher
happens
populations.
that we grew faster than we died. So things got relatively better. Then sometime later, as more complex societies were created and trade and diplomacy arose, things cooled off. However, when you look at the last 600 years, you can see that this cooling off was only very recently, as it was only in the last 100 or so that we really started to turn a new leaf, with the amount of conflicts starting each year being on a mostly downward spiral since World War II. And while it may be hard to believe these days, we do live in an extremely peaceful world compared to the one that used to be.
Yeah.
And this is, of course, reflected in our very long lifespan.
Yeah, I mean, it's relatively peaceful when you're not killing every motherfucker on sight, bro. Oh my god, I can't wait to get this move over with, homies. Yeah, guys, so I'm going to be moving here next week, and we're going to be upgrading the internet and shit, homie. So hopefully we won't really be having too many problems with the internet. Things are finally working out a little bit, man. We get to get out of this shithole. We get to get out of this trap house, you know what I'm saying, bro? Big chillin', big chillin'. Like, fuck, dude, I'm so excited, bro. So fucking excited. Sorry, I like Adventure Time, so I wanted to watch this. But, yeah, dude. Get to get out of here, no longer get harassed and attacked by my landlords and shit, bro. God, it's gonna be so peaceful. I mean, we're not gonna have any landlords busting the door down on stream again, like all the other times we were streaming and they wanted to come in here causing crazy issues. I look forward to living in peace, my friends.
One of those shows that has an absurd variety of episodes. As discussed on the channel, some episodes make you question the very fabric of your reality. Click the
Dude, we get high as fuck as teenagers and watch this shit. Still don't understand a fuck thing about this show.
I had to go watch my video on that, as well as episodes that focus on the simple yet complex side characters. You know the writers are in their groove when they start giving lore to these absolute jobber characters. That, or they're just running out of ideas.
I wish I could spend just one day on the other side of the mirror. Well, let's switch places for the day. Oh, peace.
Shut up! Shut up! We're not here to be negative. It's just character building. See, as any good show continues, we have to have character development. And with a show as long as Adventure Time, this is almost a guarantee. Finn the human, who first starts off as an immature boy who just wants to fight monsters, eventually goes through puberty, to the point where he starts doing some ridiculously obscene shit. Yeah, we had the whole wet dreams thing.
What? That was the thing? I never seen that episode.
Body is engulfed in flames!
And while that episode was very weird, what the f*** was this episode?
I obviously did not watch the entire series of Adventure Time.
What the hell is this?
No, we don't have to go into this episode anymore. Actually, it'd make for a good video. Let me know down in the comments if you want a video analyzing this disgusting, absolutely abhorrent, repulsive, violently vomit-inducing... There's one episode, though, that confused everyone. An episode that had no explanation. An episode I don't think anyone truly understands. This is the episode called The Hall of Egress. The episode begins with Finn and Jake trekking up a hill looking for a mysterious dungeon that Flambeau's brother told them about. Already from the jump, we see a mention of a...
I gotta take some acid on stream one day and watch this shit. I mean, that's how I watched the entirety of the Peaky Blinders.
Previous episode, marking for a really cool connection. What's even better is if we go back to that same episode, we hear Jake say,
I hope this mystery cave we're looking for is as weird as Flambeau's brother says it is. Maybe that'll snap you out of the... Whoa, what? What's this train all about?
It's a seamless connection between the two episodes that are in fact 2 seasons apart from one another. Almost like the writers wanted to write the episode The Hall of Egress first, but just as Finn and Jake were interrupted on their way there, the writers too were impeded with an idea for another banger episode. I'll get to another amazing connection later on in the video. Trust me, some AOT foreshadowing is incoming. Finn and Jake finally come across the dungeon, and it's out here looking so ominous.
Wait, if Jake can grow, why didn't he just step over the fucking train?
Like it's completely out of place. So Finn enters when he steps on a switch, and a boulder blocks the entrance, separating the two from one another. Finn says,
Not even Jake could smash through this mess.
which is the writer signaling to us that he is well and truly on his own. Finn decides to travel on in case he can find another way out when he comes across 3 different pathways.
Classic.
Finn decides to leave a trail using the fabric of his t-shirt.
Oddly enough, watching Rick and Morty on acid is not as trippy as you think it'd be.
Even more foreshadowing for the end of this episode, but then Finn falls down this ledge. He now finds himself in this interesting room. In the middle, there's this upside down snowman statue, and this vault door that says Hall of Egress. I don't know about you, but when I first watched this episode, I immediately thought that name sounded so
real.
cool. It probably has some complex,
What's up, Watcher? How you been, man? Haven't seen you in a couple days, homie.
mystical and rich lore. Like, what the hell is Egress? It's probably some valiant knight or a cool dragon that did some absolutely insane shit.
What's egress mean?
Exit.
Oh.
Hall of
Alright, I'll
exit?
just go myself.
Finn tries his best to open the vault, but to no avail. He then grabs one of the stones from the statue to try to break through the door, but yet again, it doesn't budge. It seems like he gives up, so he shuts his eyes, and this happens. Strange. He's back in his clothes now, and the snowman statue has been unharmed. So Finn starts to realize that it's probably some magic door, and thinks he's completely solved it. When his eyes are open, he can touch the vault, but as soon as he closes them, his arm goes straight through.
Hey, what? Think outside the box, son of a frickin'.
With a cheeky but cocky smile, Finn walks through.
That ought to done it. And
What the hell?
let's try that again.
He begins to feel around for things, and he finds a thread. Maybe the one that he left in the beginning? He follows the thread, but then he falls down a trapdoor with 3 spikes at the bottom. So Finn decides that it'd be best to plan his route and go back. So he opens his eyes.
Fiendish.
Such a random word to say, but fits the entire situation perfectly. Finn decides to map out the path he quote-unquote sees when he closes his eyes. He follows his own directions, but the tunnel now has completely changed. He doesn't find a thread. He now touches a sign that reads egress and immediately starts running in that direction. As he continues, he discovers more and more signs, and it seems like he's finally made his way out. Oh, come on! Finn sits alone in that dark room and says,
Every map I make is wrong. All the exit signs led to traps. It's almost like the maze is trying to tell me something. Something confusing.
then he's all like, screw this cryptic BS, and he just starts running.
Alright, let's go. Here we go now, here we go now. Now we're running, now we're running, now we're running, now we're running.
After pausing to catch his breath, he hears a familiar voice.
Finn! Finn!
It's Jake. A smile spreads across his face, and he quickly runs towards it when this happens.
Jake! That's a little disappointing.
Finn pops up again, but keeps his eyes shut and apologizes to Jake for disappearing just before. But Jake says,
Again? You just got here, son.
Finn says that the cave is confusing his brain, but Jake questions what cave he's referring to. So Finn shows him the map they followed at the beginning of the episode, and oddly, the cave has completely disappeared. I was so confused, but also excited as to what the hell was going on in this episode. This is exactly where those 2 cool dragon pillars were, but it's like it's been plucked from reality. Jake says that there's nothing but grass here, and Finn says,
What? Let me see.
I don't even know, I don't understand. What? What does it even mean?
also, if you're enjoying the video, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. So he goes back once more. We then hear Finn telling Jake that whenever he tried to get out of the cave by planning out his path and memorizing where to go, he always failed. But whenever he just ran through like it was nothing, he was able to find Jake. Jake questions why he's not able to remember any of it, but Finn genuinely has no idea and hopes that when he wakes up in the morning, things will be different. Keyword, different. In the morning, this happens.
Are you gonna open your eyes now?
Maybe.
Are you scared?
No.
Then do it.
And they begin to count down. And what do you know?
Why am I losing life?
It's like such a troll,
And according
dude.
to Jake, it's been a month now where Finn has kept his eyes shut. He asks him
It's like a troll respawn, bro.
if he's gonna open his eyes, but Finn tells him that it's all just gonna be the same. He has to wait until something is different. So Jake, like the cheeky bastard he is, plays a social experiment on Finn.
I got you a little something. A little present.
Wow. Thanks, man.
Really gonna thank me. Gotcha!
What the fuck?
What's even worse is what Finn says next. Jake has done this 30 times now. So Jake laughs it off and asks Finn to look at it from where he's sitting. Get it? Look? Cause he can't? Do you get it? Do you get the thing that he can't see? Do you get it? Like,
You get a joke? Good.
Jake says that whatever Finn's seeing is the textbook definition of a hallucination. Maybe all of the things he saw were a dream.
Or like, I'm a dream. And I ain't no dream, you heard?
And then you already know where this is going.
Suck it,
Just
you
the-
bitch.
Well,
Finn looks depressed and defeated. He goes through the same loop one more time, but this time he says,
oh, Jake. I know you mean well, but I guess I gotta see this one through on my own. I'll see you around, buddy.
and he leaves his home and Jake behind. The next we see Finn. He's dirty and parched. He hears a river and drinks from it before realizing that a thread of his t-shirt got caught somewhere. He's annoyed and pulls it back, saying that Jake would eventually track him down using it. And that's not necessarily correct. Jake has some kind of super smell, which he's used to find him before. Instead, this line serves another purpose, which relates to what Finn does next. Instead of just pulling the thread back and tearing it, he begins to take off all of his clothes and states,
No more threads to follow. No more egress.
The next we see him, he looks like a caveman. He's dirty, practically naked, living out in the wild and eating shit like skunks. It's unclear how long it's been, but judging by how he's acting, it's been a long time. We see Finn go to many places, but then this is where I lost my shit. He ends up in the desert lands, and we see that same cave. It's just in a completely new place. Finn keeps going, unaware that he just entered the cave. He misses the stone that trapped him in the first place. And remember the ledge he fell off the first time? There's now a ramp. He states he's happy to be somewhere cool, and that no one is gonna find him here. But then, he eventually bumps into the vault, feels for it, and quickly realizes,
Huh? Egress! 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 Egress!
Finn stops yelling and raises his eyebrows. Well, brow, and he taps the vault one more time. When his eyes were closed back in the original Hall of Egress, he was able to put his hand through like it wasn't even there. This time, however, he can feel it. We then hear BMO in Finn's head.
Something's different.
He begins taking off his blindfold when we see that there are several underneath. Poor guy is traumatized because Jake and BMO kept forcing him to reset. Finn takes a deep breath and opens his eyes. The vault is now open and Finn can walk through. He can see clouds around him as well as several seemingly never-ending transparent tunnels. He sees animals on the surface and others that live underground. And then he sees Jake. Just think about how long it's been since he's seen him. He smiles and sprints to him. This is finally it. He runs through the path that seemingly got him to Jake in the first place. When we hear this cryptic line said by Princess Bubblegum,
Hurry, Finn. At the seashell's center lies the cornucopia's smallest door.
the screen
Why
shakes
is it
and
so
we see
creepy
Finn
for a
finally
kid
emerge
show?
from the rocks in pure elation. Jake turns around slowly as the rocks hit him and Finn embraces his brother after who knows how long.
That must have been some cave.
No comment!
So I know what you're thinking.
What is this?
Well, as you know, we had some new investors that have come
What
in.
is this?
Let's analyze what on earth we just watched.
Here's what I think happened.
This episode is one of the few times we see Finn alone without Jake. Yes, we've had some episodes prior where the two are separated, but this episode is mainly about how Finn can get himself out of a predicament unfamiliar to him without Jake's help. He tries a bunch of ways to get out, including mapping his whereabouts. None of it works. Only when he starts
Charging him willy-nilly?
could he escape and find Jake. Every time he starts again, he simply waits for something. He's waiting for the right moment, but it never comes. Because A, he's not doing anything and is in his comfort zone with Jake and BMO, and B, Jake and BMO always end up opening his eyes. In past episodes, most of the time when Finn is faced with challenges on the show, he tries to find his own way to overcome it. We see this in Another Way, when Finn refuses to let these creepy ass doctors kiss his broken ankle better, and he goes batshit insane, shouting,
My way!
It is only when Finn leaves Jake and BMO that something starts to feel different. He takes off all of his clothes as a means to strip away everything he was, and now symbolically stepping into adulthood, a man. We see this as he begins to learn to survive in the wild without big brother Jake to help him or anything. And just like in the Hall of Egress, he travels blind into the unknown, because after all, that's what adulthood or any new stage of your life is. It's uncharted territory. He misses the booby trap that trapped him in the first place, and the ledge that he fell off from now has a slope, like the hall is telling him to quote-unquote trust the process. Not everything is in your control. The future can be scary, but you have a choice. You can either try to control every outcome and run from uncertainty, or you can let the future unfold naturally, just as Finn eventually does, without overthinking or forcing it. Let's quickly
See, I'm a pothead, so I would watch that, and I don't think I would take away that much shit from watching a cartoon, bro. This man thinks a lot. And I mean a lot.
analyze that cryptic bubblegum quote.
Hurry, Finn. At the seashell's center lies the cornucopia's smallest door.
This has a variety of meanings and interpretations, so let me just pin down what I think. Seashells symbolize growth and resilience. Cornucopia refers to something being in abundance or great supply, and the smallest door refers to Finn's next stage of his life. Seashells are typically spiral shaped, representing his repeated journeys between the hall and home as he struggles to escape. The cornucopia, I believe, refers to Finn's unlimited potential, because as we've seen in the show, there is an abundance of it. His potential to be a better brother, a better friend, and a better hero. But the only way to get through that door is by letting go.
No more threads to follow. No more egress.
No more threads, as in no more going back. He tried leaving a thread behind before getting trapped in the dungeon, but it only led him to becoming even more trapped. That's why he tears it near the river. No more relying on relationships. No more relying on his physical belongings. It's time to just let go. Although he still has all of his similar qualities in the episodes to come after this, this is the episode that kicks off Finn's development into adulthood and maturity. After all, well, he had been in there for an awful amount of time.
That was definitely the longest adventure we've ever done.
What about when you got trapped in a mine dungeon for a bunch of years?
Being in there that long is cause for maturation. Finn is resilient in his journey. He doesn't give up and emerges a new person. That concludes theory 1. This seems to be the more accepted theory among the fan base, but I want to build on that. So
Theory 2!
Finn at this current moment in the show has gone through a lot. The guy lost his arm, found his biological father, learned he was a two-timing rat, and began to question whether he should have searched for his true origins at all. He even has to say goodbye to him when the Catalyst Comet offers Finn a new mode of existence in the season 6 finale. Quick lore recap: Finn's had a myriad of past lives. One of them was a Catalyst Comet that arrives on Earth every 1,000 years, bringing with it an agent of change. It brought about the existence of Finn, representing all good in the universe, and even brought about the Lich, representing all evil. Just wanted to give some backstory for the people who haven't seen the show. Finn denies the Catalyst Comet's offer to reincarnate into a new life because he wants to see what his current life has to offer. Martin, Finn's father, wants to take the offer for himself, which understandably pisses Finn off.
Are you seriously trying to bail out again?
Martin says to Finn,
"You burn enough bridges, the only direction to move is forward."
Finn seems to accept that his father won't change, and Martin says,
"Goodbye, son!"
presumably inhabiting a
That's
new
so
existence
shitty.
somewhere in Ooh, or maybe in a different reality. It's not clear. Just look at what Finn says here in the Hall of Egress.
I'm Finn Mertens, you heard? I don't need no nothing. Watch me.
Mertens being the surname of Martin. Despite all of their issues, he still sees him as his dad. Although Finn comes to terms with the kind of guy his father was, it's still a heavy loss for him, because as far as he knows, it was the last link he had to his human heritage, and he may never find out where he truly came from.
"Goodbye, son!"
Finn also ruined his relationship with Flame Princess by constantly forcing her and the Ice King to fight, just because it gave him wet dreams. Yes, seriously. The guy also had to observe an alternate wish reality where he became crazy with ice powers and indirectly destroyed the world.
Man needs a maid, a man needs a maid, a man needs a maid!
Housekeeping.
And although he convinces Prismo to change the reality slightly, you can tell that Finn is deeply affected by it. Just look what he says here.
Huh, that's his family.
And what is the episode that comes straight after this? Hall of Egress. Him tearing off his clothes is symbolic. He is getting rid of all of his past trauma and bad memories involving his dad, the Lich, Flame Princess, to strip away all the hurt and agony. This connects to Martin's quote about moving forward. In a way, Finn tearing off his clothes is him burning his bridges of suffering.
How many seasons of this shit was there, bro? Because I thought there was a lot of episodes when I was a teenager.
This episode is him saying goodbye to his trauma, thus the name Hall of Egress, as in to exit that part of his life for something new. Although things don't necessarily get better right away, Finn eventually finds more humans. He finds his mother, albeit a digital version of her, and more or less figures out how he got to Ooh. He makes up with Flame Princess. Finn does lose his arm, however, but he states himself that it feels natural to only have one arm. But there's one more theory that works in tandem with the previously stated ones. You see this snowman at the center of the hall? It's upside down, so many people have speculated that if Finn had just put the snowman upright, the vault would have opened. I like this theory because it fits in with Finn's character. One of the first things he does is grab the stones of the snowman and throw them at the vault. Ultimately, I think the Hall of Egress is relative to whoever enters it. Its design is meant to take them on a journey of self-reflection and self-improvement. The snowman is placed in the center because the hall knows Finn won't think about the simple option and instead resorts to brute forcing his way through. It's genius storytelling. Oh yeah, real quick, let me show you just how insane the foreshadowing of Adventure Time is. As I mentioned previously, Dungeon Train is deeply connected to this episode. See, this one takes place a few episodes after Flame Princess dumps Finn. On the way to the mysterious cave, which we now know was the Hall of Egress, Finn says to Jake,
"Like, my inside voice has been kinda quiet lately. Not a lot of instructions forthcoming, you know?"
he's in a strange and uncomfortable place that he doesn't know how to navigate. That's when they come across the Dungeon Train. They enter and they find out that each car is like a level in a video game, with each of them having different creatures to fight. Enemies even drop loot after getting defeated. There's even a
boss battle! Let's chew it up!
It gets stale to Jake pretty quickly, but Finn doesn't want to leave because this is the first time in a long time he's felt anything. His inside voice keeps telling him that this is some good stuff. Later, Jake finds a crystal ball that one of the enemies dropped that shows the future, and he sees that Finn is old and is still fighting on the train. After the pair fight because of their disagreement, Finn takes a look at the crystal ball to see how cool he looks in the future, but then he sees a frail and old Jake next to him. That finally makes him realize that it's time to leave the train. He comes back to Jake and apologizes for going too far. These two episodes don't just share a thematic connection, that being that Finn gets himself quote-unquote trapped in a place that causes self-reflection and change by the end. There's also this small detail. See, when Finn apologizes, he tells Jake that he promises he'll come back in a few weeks, and that Jake can go home. Obviously Jake gets pissed, saying that it's just the train talking, but then Finn shows him the crystal ball. It shows the two of them just doing dishes, and Jake says,
"That's what I'm talking about. That is what I'm talking about."
Did you see the small connection? Look closer at the crystal ball. Finn's eyes are closed, foreshadowing the Hall of Egress. Previously, I stated that Pahoe is the most thought-provoking episode. Thank you for the immense support on that video, by the way, and while I still think it's a very contemplative episode, the Hall of Egress takes the cake for being the biggest mind of an episode in possibly any cartoon show. Do you guys think this is the most confusing episode in Adventure Time? Please subscribe for more content like this. Leave below.
I think I'm baked like a cake. And that was some in-depth shit, son. This man thinks a lot. This man looks too far into shit. Oh yeah, I wanted to watch this stupid Yu-Gi-Oh video. I like this guy who tells these Yu-Gi-Oh stories. And then I'm going to play this stupid whole game so that way I can try to beat it in 30 minutes. That's the goal. I want to get that achievement, beat it in under 30 minutes.
2024. An ancient city was discovered in Ecuador. A banana stuck to a wall sold for $6 million.
What?
Drake was no longer allowed within 100 meters of a playground. And the star of today's tale, Heartbeat Collide, was about to attend a local Yu-Gi-Oh tournament. Now, for a bit of context, this locals was quite a bit more sweaty than your standard events, with the vast majority of players typically being a bit more on the competitive side and sticking to decks proven to be strong and meta relevant. So for this event, Hart wanted to bring something that, whilst not considered top tier, was still able to compete at that level. Dino. In Yu-Gi-Oh, Dino is an archetype that is known for two things: child abuse due to continuously beating up baby dinosaurs to gain card advantage, and one completely absurd card that you're only allowed to play one copy of due to how busted it can be. Miscellaneosaurus. This card has a couple of effects, but the only one I want you to remember for this video, as it's the most toxic part about the card, is the first effect. During either player's turn, you can send this card from your hand to the graveyard to make all dinosaur monsters you control completely unaffected by your opponent's effects. This not only applies to dinosaur monsters already on the field, but all dinosaur monsters you summon that turn, essentially meaning your opponent typically cannot interact with a single thing you do. They can't negate your monster effects, they can't destroy your monsters, they can't really do much at all. All they can do is sit back and watch as you flood the field with a billion different dinosaur monsters whilst bullying a small child. The tournament began, and Hart was off to a banger of a start, managing to beat a Kashtira, a Yubel, and a Raid Raptor player, landing himself a spot in the semi-upper bracket final. I'm not gonna lie, I have no clue what it's called, but he's managed to make it here. Hart takes a seat at their assigned table, and looked up to find himself being stared down by a very serious looking individual. This man was not here to play games. Well, he was, but you get what I mean. Both players roll a die to see who goes first, with Hart coming out the victor and choosing to go first. Game 1 begins, and Hart immediately begins his turn by activating his singular copy of Misk. This was met by an incredibly loud grunt coming from his opponent's side of the table, followed by an instant concede. This kind of caught Hart off guard, but a win's a win, I guess, so we move on to Game 2. At this point, Hart had absolutely no clue what his opponent was playing, so in between games, he decided to side in a bunch of generically good going second stuff: Kaijus, Sphere Mode, and Lava Golem. These are monsters that contribute your opponent's stuff in order to summon themselves to the opponent's side of the field in their place. His opponent starts his turn and began slamming cards onto the field. Turns out he was playing Unchained, and after spending a good 8 to 10 minutes-ish setting up his field, he passed the turn. Unfortunately for him, he'd made a grave mistake. He'd ended on 3 monsters. The perfect amount for Hart to simply tribute all of them in order to summon a worthless 0-attack egg to his opponent's side of the field.
That's funny.
His opponent was clearly fuming as he roughly scooped up his stuff, mumbled something thankfully inaudible under his breath, before getting up and walking away. But this isn't the last we'll see of this guy. You see, this tournament has a lower bracket, so he dropped down here, which means we might just meet him again in the final. Hart took a seat at his assigned table before raising his head to be met yet again by an incredibly serious looking face, only this time it was quite a bit more grouchy looking. Hart won the dice roll and chose to go first, and after popping a few babies, he ended on a pretty formidable endfield of dinos, and so he passed the turn. As soon as his opponent went to activate a card effect, Hart once again revealed that he'd drawn the singular copy of Misk by discarding it to the graveyard to make his field completely unaffected. So where the fuck is my call by? Hart jumped back in his seat upon hearing the sudden outburst from his opponent. Called by the Grave is a spell card that can negate the effects of cards in the graveyard, and since Misk is sent to the graveyard to use its effect, it's a known counter to the card. Unfortunately, apparently his opponent hadn't drawn it, and so we move on to Game 2. Which wasn't very exciting as Hart just drew no board breakers against a full board, so move on to Game 3. Once again, Hart began abusing small children. After a good few minutes of continuously destroying baby dinosaurs, he ended on an endfield of Ultimate Conductor Tyranno, Apollosa, and 2 Evozar Xyz monsters. This time, it was his opponent's turn to do the tributing. He began his turn by immediately tributing off both Evozar Xyz monsters, leaving a lava golem in their place. And with 2 threats now gone, he began attempting to combo off himself. A few negates later through Apollosa's effect, and his opponent had only managed to get a singular monster onto the field and 2 back row. After beating over the Apollosa, he ended his turn. Hart drew a card for turn before activating the effect of UTC, popping a baby dinosaur in hand to flip all of his opponent's monsters into face down defense position, while simultaneously also triggering the effect of the baby in the graveyard to summon a dinosaur to the field. His opponent responded by flipping one of his set cards, Escape of the Unchained. This card allowed him to target one monster he controls, and the UTC's opponent controlled, and destroy them both. It was at this moment Hart reached into his hand and pulled out a card, before slowly placing a Mystiladiosaurus into the graveyard. UTC was now completely immune to the effects of the trap. His opponent appeared to have just frozen, just staring blankly at the Misk in the graveyard without moving a muscle. A few seconds go by before he suddenly reached over and snatched the Misk from the grave. Alright, that's a bit rude. If he wanted to just read the card, he could have just, what's he doing? Hart watched his opponent reach into the card sleeve before yoinking it out. He then placed a corner of the card right in between his teeth, and clamped down hard. Before Hart could even say a word, his opponent ripped the card away from his face, leaving an entire corner of the card still firmly clamped between his teeth. He then proceeded to get up, spit the corner onto the ground, scoop up his stuff, and without saying a word to anyone, walked out the exit of the store as if
what a
nothing
fucking
had
dick,
happened,
dude.
leaving Hart still sitting in his chair, completely stun-locked by what he just witnessed. He may have won the event, but now he only owned 3/4 of a Mystiladiosaurus. And so that brings us to the end of today's tale. Thank you so much,
That's
Hart, for
fucked
sharing
up,
your
bro.
story in the
That's
comment section of one of my previous story videos. And as per
extremely
usual, if
hilarious.
you too have a story from your time playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And like to have it recreated in this series, feel free to write it down in the comments below. Just make
Oh, dude, that was funny. That was funny. Changing my category. Alrighty, guys. Okay, let's start from the beginning here. I gotta try from the beginning. I don't know how long I took on the other ones, so let's just start and go. Let's get to it. Oh, shit. Ooh, sweet, already got coal. That's what we need so we can start upgrading. Dig. Fuck you, low battery. I'm gonna push the fucking max on that. Charge. I should have went with the battery. Hopefully by the time we hit anything solid, we can buy dynamite. Alright. Fuck yeah. It's a good spot to just start digging in, dude. Sweet. God damn, there's like no resources in this little patch. Like, fuck. Something? Oh my god, the fucking guys are outside with the goddamn leaf blowers, bro. Shut the fuck up. It's windy outside. The leaves are just gonna blow right back. Fucking idiots. Oh, bro, I'm just digging a hole, homie. You know what it is. What you got going on, Jacob? Shut the fuck up, dude. Sounds like somebody's getting fucked up inside my front door. Motherfucker. Oh, I feel that, bro. Today's my day off, dude. I gotta go and sign a new lease later on today, homie. Waiting on what's gonna be my new roommate so I can go get that shit signed and paid for. Try to move in on the 1st or some shit, bro, and get the fuck out of this shithole. You know what I'm saying, big dog? I'm only moving like a mile up the road, though. Yeah, bro, that's what I'm saying, dude. Like, I had to, like, call the cops on my landlords and shit, and, like, they just got crazy, bro. So, you know, it's time to get out of here. Go shit in a new toilet. Down a hole. Yeah, dude, I'm trying to beat this game in under 30 minutes. My fucking finger's cramping already, though. But yeah, homie, if I don't gotta watch my kids later on tonight, man, I'll be on playing some Black Ops with you. Unfortunately, I do have to work tomorrow, though. Sir, can you do that quieter, please? Go use that leaf blower and go blow the landlord. Oh, thank you. Dude, if I wasn't so broke, man, I'd buy some of like the cooler games that have come out recently, bro. Fuck. I'm not making enough money to buy a... That sucks, dude. I need to buy a piece of dynamite to get rid of that bullshit. I like how there's 4 people in here, but yet you're the only one person that really typed on me. I appreciate you though, big dog. I appreciate you. I can't crouch in this game. Shit, man, I know how that is. Shoot, man, I might have to go back to cleaning pools, bro. Gotta make that money, dude. I mean, my job's chill right now, you know, for the most part, because it feels like I don't really do a whole lot. So I can't complain in that aspect, you know, because your boy likes to be lazy. One sec, what does it say? Oh, it didn't even flag my auto mod or anything, so you good. I don't know. I need dynamite, bro. Fuck. I'm not giving up until I beat this shit in under 30 minutes, bro. The struggle of life. Like, kids are great and all, but you're perma broke after you have them. You're good, homie. I'll be digging a hole. Oh, I fucked up. Wasn't even paying attention. I'm an idiot. Too busy digging my fucking hole. That blunt. Blast out like a fucking rocket ship, dude. Yeah. I'm already at the goal. Fuck. Make that hole a little bit bigger so we can get it out. Yes, sir. If we can just start digging up more gold and we get that platinum and diamonds, son. Oh man, these upgrades are coming. Get that drill and we'll be down in like 2 minutes. Down in a pit that smells like shit. And the world's come inhabited. Man, my finger's tired. Not bad. Oh, I didn't do it within 30 minutes. Fuck. Alright, let's just beat it and then we'll retry. Fucking hell. My last playthrough, I was almost there. Yeah, because I haven't even hit platinum or diamonds yet, so I'm fucked. There's got to be a spot I can start off at, though. That didn't work out like I wanted it to. shit. Fuck. Dynamite. Burn my ass. God damn it. I don't want to die. No, 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 no. God damn it. I don't give a fuck. Yeah. I wonder how long that shit took. What do you think, boys? Don't think I got that in 30 minutes. Sorry guys, I was just checking my work schedule. I'm like, do I work tomorrow? Doesn't look like I work tomorrow. Looks like I fucked up my shit. Which has happened. I gotta get my finger a break from all that fucking clicking, dude. Like, 46 minutes. God damn. Wonder what a good game is out there. Sit in the fucking hole. Oh, motherfucker. Fuck can't even get in his own goddamn hole. Fuck. This is horse shit, dude. I need a better jetpack. I'm gonna have to start this run over, bro. Fuck this. God damn. I'm going back to shit. Man, get my fucking hands cramping. Give myself a break for a minute before I come back to fucking killing my hands again. Like, fuck.
They keep trying to trick us into believing something is popular, so then we go out and buy it. I'm getting so sick and tired of watching both game developers and games media gaslighting the audience and themselves rather than just calling things out for what they are. You need to throw up a signal flare when there's an issue, but they want to keep handing out consolation prizes, and then they wonder why studios close down. How do you not recognize that you are exacerbating this issue? Avowed is one of the biggest copes I have ever seen. Game developers and journalists self-congratulating when the numbers and the player sentiment are telling a completely different story. It doesn't make any sense to me. I'm struggling to tell the difference between article and advertisement this week. It's like they want to wish success into existence. That doesn't work. I'm getting Dragon Age the Veilguard deja vu all over again. Look, I don't think that Avowed is an objectively bad game. I've played it. We're going to end up talking about that. But it's just a fine game. It's an okay game. But okay isn't acceptable from a studio as storied, experienced, or as prestigious as Obsidian. We should expect more from them. They should expect more from themselves. But the funny thing is that they don't. The industry doesn't want you to expect more.
I don't know, with how much people have been hating on Avowed and all the shit I've been hearing about it, I gotta play this game. I think it's on Game Pass, honestly. I might just hop on the Xbox and play it for a bit and see what that shit's like.
These studios don't want you to expect more, and this studio specifically doesn't expect more from themselves.
This is a growing issue in the games industry. It's poisoning the culture of some of these studios because they're not just accepting mediocrity. They're aiming for it. Not my words, theirs. But before we get into that, a word from today's sponsor, Exit Lag. You know what's worse than getting outplayed? Losing because of lag. Nothing kills a match faster than high ping, packet
Hey, you guys got a game recommendation?
loss, and random disconnects. That's where Exit Lag comes in.
And if you say it avowed, I'm gonna fucking die.
Exit Lag optimizes your connection with AI route optimization, a dynamic stabilizer, and a diagnostic center, ensuring that you get the best connection to stable route to games. Download Exit Lag, create an account, pick your game, and active. First announced, the hype was undeniable. It was positioned as Obsidian's answer to Skyrim, at least by the fans. It was a return to first-person RPGs from a studio that's known for one of the best in the genre. But as the release date crept closer, something strange happened. The buzz just vanished. Nobody seemed to care about the game anymore. The game barely got marketed, conversation among players was dead silent, and then by the time it launched, it felt like nobody actually even cared about it. I was still interested. I've enjoyed Grounded, and I loved New Vegas, and while I haven't played Pillars of Eternity, I was excited to see what Obsidian could do with a first-person fantasy RPG. I wasn't expecting Skyrim, but I was expecting something that would at least try to stand alongside it. But as time passed, my optimism faded. The warning signs were all there. Xbox barely promoted the game. The general audience showed no real excitement, and it was set to launch in the same month as Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and Monster Hunter Wilds. From my perspective, that looks like you're trying to hide the game. And it looks like that's exactly what happened, because Avowed's $90 early access period peaked at just 13,000 players on Steam.
Whoa.
With a full launch hit, that number barely crawled to 17,000 players. The immediate excuses I'm seeing are, but it's on Game Pass, as if that somehow invalidates the reality of what we're seeing. Steam's concurrent player count doesn't tell the whole story, true, but it does indicate a trend, and if a game is a massive hit on Game Pass, well, it's going to be an even bigger success on Steam. We've already seen plenty of games launch both on Steam and Game Pass while pulling huge numbers. Palworld had 15 million copies sold and 10 million players on Game Pass. Over 2 million concurrent players on Steam. Stalker 2, 100,000 concurrent players on Steam despite also launching on Game Pass. Starfield, over 300 concurrent players on Steam, even with day one Game Pass availability. If a game is
Yeah, I feel like I wasted money on Starfield.
truly successful, it's successful everywhere. And right now, Avowed is not doing well. That's obvious to me, to most players that are paying attention, and to anyone that's looking at the numbers without blinders on, but that's not the narrative that games journalists are pushing right now. Instead, they're trying to manufacture success with articles like, Avowed is already a big hit on Steam, celebrating a measly 17,000 concurrent players on Steam as if that's something to brag about. Avowed tops bestsellers list on Steam despite backlash, pretending that the chart placement somehow means anything despite the fact that the competition that's on there are weeks-old releases and games that aren't even out yet. Avowed hits impressive Steam chart milestone before its release, hyping up a meaningless number that's outweighed by a complete lack of long-term engagement. I'm so tired of seeing all this media spin. You're not my GameStop rep trying to sell me a game, you're media outlets that are supposed to be covering industry news. It's the same pathetic gaslighting we saw with Dragon Age the Veilguard, a game that was supposed to have topped the Steam charts and was declared a strong seller despite completely failing to gain any traction with players. Ultimately, even EA acknowledged that it was a failure. But let's be real, Avowed's failure isn't just about the weak sales numbers, it's about how this game got here in the first place. Xbox's marketing for Avowed was non-existent. It felt like it just got dumped onto the market with no fanfare, no build-up, and no attempt to get the players excited.
To be fair, I mean, I hop on my Xbox every day. I never really seen anything about Avowed until maybe a couple weeks ago.
Or involved. If you haven't followed the news closely, then you barely even know that Avowed was coming out. But what makes matters even worse is the only real marketing that this game has got over the last year, well, it came from the art director torpedoing the game. Instead of trying to build hype for Avowed, the art director Matt Henson took to Blue Sky to rant about Elon Musk and identity politics in video games. And not only did he make it about himself, he dragged Avowed into it, turning it into a political talking point instead of an exciting RPG.
Oh my God.
This is the first time in months that people were even talking about Avowed, and it was actually because the developer hijacked it for his own
That's fucking funny.
personal agenda. I've talked about this before, but this is a growing problem in the industry. Developers don't seem to understand what they say impacts their games. We live in a world where half the audience is terminally online, and alienating a portion of that audience can completely derail any momentum a game has. This is a leadership issue. You have your key creatives out there, and they feel comfortable using your game as a soapbox for their personal beliefs. This is telling me two things. You have no control over your employees, and you do not care how players perceive your game. When the only notable thing about your game before launch is controversy, you're setting yourself up for failure. The uncomfortable truth that no one in the media wants to talk about or say out loud is that Obsidian and Xbox set themselves up for failure. Not only just allowing one of their developers to hijack their product for personal reasons, but also for a failure to manage expectations and genuinely trying to connect with their audience. This isn't just marketing and management incompetence, it's a complete breakdown of studio leadership. Now they're paying the price for it. But if you guys really want to know why Avowed isn't selling, let me go ahead and play you guys the game's first trailer.
We have always known war. It forged our empire, turned heroes into queens and kings, and decimated our foes. Now
How far does an
our
arrow
oaths
travel?
are lost, forsaken. And you must face the monsters our sins have borne. Is an oath worth the weight of a crown?
We were teased a dark, broody, gritty world, a narrator weaving a tale of conflict and high-stakes adventure.
Yeah, that trailer looked a little fire. I mean, I don't know. I guess I gotta play the game, huh?
Years later, Obsidian revealed that the game's actual art direction and story didn't really line up with players' expectations. Instead of a mature, grounded fantasy RPG setting like people had imagined, we got yet another pink, purple, neon-soaked game using a soft modern art aesthetic that has infected so many games today. Instead of immersive, distinct character designs, we got the same androgynous, feature-muted male and female characters that, well, we just keep seeing audiences reject. Who's lining up for that? Who's getting excited for that? Nobody. And I would bet good money that Dragon Age the Veilguard's disastrous reception probably led a lot of players to be a lot more cautious of Avowed because of how similar these games looked. You know, I hear game developers and journalists whining that players need to respect creative freedom and expression, but where the hell is that creative freedom when all of these games are starting to look the same? Now, of course, developers can change their art direction. I'm not saying that they can't. That's not the issue here. The issue is the radio silence for 3 years, followed by a bait-and-switch reveal that left players confused and disinterested. At that point, people just tuned out. You can't do that, especially not today. And this isn't just an Avowed problem. This is an industry-wide problem. Developers need to engage with their audience. They need to see how players are responding. They need critical feedback.
This game actually does not look that fun to play. Looks like a shit ton of other games I've played.
Back early, not just validation from industry insiders and co-workers, especially when they're taking radical shifts in art direction, tone, and atmosphere. Larian Studios' publishing director made a really great point about this. While they didn't mention Avowed specifically, let's be honest, they're talking about Avowed, or at least Dragon Age the Veilguard. But he said, you can't wait to see if a game resonates with players. It's insane. Why wait and see? It's a strategic play. Build resonance before launch. Set expectations, under-promise, over-deliver. The latter may sound crazy, but it's far less crazy than saying something didn't resonate in a financial report like that's a surprise. It shouldn't be a surprise. It should be a process. And this is exactly what Xbox and Obsidian didn't do. Developers need to be direct with their vision, be transparent. Imagine how different the reception would have been if Obsidian had communicated these changes earlier, when player feedback actually could have meant something. Instead, they just dropped a trailer that players immediately rejected, downvoted, and yelled at, and then they launched a game to an audience that didn't even want it. Look at the difference in viewership from the initial teaser trailer, 1.8 million views, to the actual launch trailer of 99,000 views. What does
It's like they think they can force you to like a game. It's kind of funny.
that tell you? You know, on top of that, imagine how different things would have been if Xbox and Obsidian had held their developers accountable, if they had fired Matt Hansen and disavowed his use of the game as a weapon in a culture war. Instead of letting a key developer drag Avowed into controversy, they had made a clear message that their focus was on the game, not politics. Think about how many players would have rallied behind the game out of respect. How can they not see these easy layups here? You need transparency and you need respect to build trust with your audience. Xbox and Obsidian had neither. I don't understand how these companies think that they can continue to be successful while excluding their audience and remaining silent. Or worse, mocking them and alienating them. The games that resonate, that build a dedicated player base, are the ones that developers are actually engaging with their fans, setting clear expectations, and delivering on their promises. But Obsidian, Xbox, they did none of that. They refused to listen, they refused to market, they refused to control their own people, and now they're learning the hard way that if you ignore your audience, well, your audience is going to ignore you.
That's so funny.
This might sound like it's coming out of left field, but I think that game developers need to disconnect from politics. And some people are going to agree with me and be like, yeah, I don't want to hear their opinion. And I get where you're coming from, but what I'm actually saying is that, like, in general, it's just not good for people. Whatever your political leaning is. Look at the news cycle given any channel. It's constantly, you're doomed, we're doomed, we're doomed, we're doomed, we're back, we're doomed, we're back. You're going to be spiraling all of the time if you're constantly dialed into that stuff. That's not healthy. And eventually you're going to feel like the walls are closing in on you, like the world is on fire. And in some cases, the world is on fire. But what are you going to do about it? You make video games. So then you start putting it into your video games, your opinions, your beliefs, or the things that you're afraid of, or what you're trying to fight against. And this industry has a lot of people that share the same opinions. Well, all of a sudden, all these games start looking the same, playing the same, sounding the same. They're destroying the relationships with their studios. They're destroying the relationships with their audience. It's just not good for the industry. At least that's my perspective. You're welcome to disagree.
So people are buying the game. They're just not playing the game, is what that tells me.
Agree, but I think it's something that these studios need to route out. Well, I think the controversy had an effect on the game's reception. I think more than anything, it's just the tonal shift and the art change from the first trailer to what the game actually became. Because players came and they were like, oh, you know, I went to the butcher and all they were selling was Wonder Meat. It's just not what players were expecting. It's not what they're excited for. It's not what they're asking.
But it is a $70 game. Look at this. It's $70 fucking dollars, bro.
For. And I think it's time to realize that Obsidian is not the studio that you think they are. Most people are basing their opinions on Obsidian off of New Vegas or Pillars of Eternity. It's been 7 years since Pillars of Eternity 2. It's been 15 years since Fallout New Vegas. Things have changed. Look at their last few games. They're competent, but they're forgettable. Outer Worlds, it had style, but the writing was bad. The world felt static. The RPG mechanics weren't all that good. Grounded was a fine game. Pentiment was a thing. But that's the thing. They aren't failing to live up to their expectations. I think that, they're not failing to live up to their potential. This is their potential. I think that's what this is. They're not aiming to be the studio that made New Vegas or try to make better than New Vegas. They're not chasing innovation or excellence. They're chasing okay. So if they've lowered their standards that much, why should the players have any higher of expectations? We shouldn't. They don't want us to. Now, initially, I thought that Avowed was underperforming for the quality it delivers. I've played the game for around 15 hours, and there were a lot of things that I genuinely liked. I think spellcasting feels really good. Combat in general feels really good, which is pretty rare for a first-person RPG. The world is dense rather than expansive, which I actually appreciate. Exploration has its moments, and performance on day one is pretty solid. On paper, this should be a pretty decent RPG, but the longer you actually play it, the more the game just feels lifeless. Like, the world might be dense, but it's not reactive. It's Dragon Age the Veilguard in first person. Exploration is not rewarding. The environments feel static, and you quickly realize that every area just boils down to the same bandits, skeletons, bears, and lizards. After a few hours, you just feel stuck in place. There's no real variety, no sense of discovery, just a repetitive loop of looting upgrade materials, collecting coins, and reading dull notebook entries. Let's be honest, nobody's playing an Obsidian game for the combat. People are coming for the writing, the characters, and the depth. Pillars of Eternity, the very foundation of this world, was built on that. But Avowed, there's just nothing. No urgency, no emotion, no tension. You crash land on a hostile island, with only one other survivor and you're both acting like it's just another Tuesday. The world is dangerous, but nobody seems to care. I knew I was in trouble when 3 hours in, I was already starting to skip dialogue. Modern RPGs have this obsession with exposition dumping, constantly bombarding the player with highlighted phrases that they don't understand, giving zero context, and then piling more exposition on top of that. Avowed is exhausting in that way. When I found myself fixing...
The only phrase anybody ever gave a shit about was taking an arrow to the knee.
Dating on the characters and the story, I had realized...
Only phrase that ever stuck.
That Avowed is suffering from the same problem that Starfield did. A better RPG launched within the same window, and I just can't accept mediocrity anymore. If you go to play Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 and then you go play Avowed, the difference is...
Yeah, I want to play Kingdom Come's Deliverance 2, but a motherfucker broke, and that's a $60 video game, bro.
Staggering. In Kingdom Come 2, characters react to you. If you get drunk, Henry is slurring his words, wobbling about. He can barely hold himself together in dialogue scenes. If you commit crimes, townspeople remember you, guards hunt you down, and the world shifts to your actions. If I pick a lock, I actually pick a lock. If I steal, there are consequences. If I murder an NPC, I'll hang for it. Then I go back to Avowed, and none of that exists. The game just feels dead. Hell, NPCs don't even move around town. They just stand in place. Enemies don't free roam. They stay in static positions. It's just a world in stasis. Gabe Newell had a really good quote in a documentary where he said, "If I go up to a wall and shoot it, it feels like it's ignoring me. I'm getting a narcissistic injury when the world is ignoring me." And that's exactly how Avowed feels. It's a game that doesn't respond to you. It ignores you. Now, I don't need every RPG to be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 or Baldur's Gate 3. I don't think I need that level of reactivity every single time, but when you're charging $90 for early access and $70 for full release, I would at least expect you're trying to reach for it.
Yeah,
Kingdom Come
right?
Deliverance 2, Warhorse Studios, the people that
What are
made
you
that
doing with
game
my
have
money?
less funding and less
Cocaine and
developers.
hookers.
Tell me how it's unfair to compare these two things when Obsidian should be the one that's the unfair comparison to make against Warhorse. The whole game feels front-loaded, like a rushed essay where the first few paragraphs get the most effort, but the rest is just filler. Kai, the one character that you get at the very beginning, he's a pretty solid character, but it's obvious that he was the one that was written first. Everyone else, forgettable. The deeper you go, the more Obsidian just ran out of steam. But come to find out, they didn't run out of steam. This is what they wanted to deliver because they want acceptable work, not exceptional work. And that's how they plan to make their studio last for 100 years, apparently. In an article written by PC Gamer titled, "Obsidian won't chase huge profits or grow aggressively. That's how it's going to last 100 years in the RPG business. Are we serious? Yes." Tyler Wilde writes, "Obsidian's 100-year plan isn't, and I hope this isn't disappointing, a decade-by-decade breakdown of future projects that ends somewhere around Fallout Old Vegas. I'm assuming pre-apocalyptic settings are popular in 2103. It's more of a thought exercise, but Morgan and Burt said that they genuinely want Obsidian to continue beyond their lifespans. Are we serious? Yes." And Morgan said, "Why not? Nintendo was founded in 1889. One of the pillars of the plan is staying lean and invested, meaning small enough that none of Obsidian's employees feel like a cog in the machine." Morgan and Burt said in recent years they had considered opening multiple international studios, but they decided to partner with existing studios rather than weakening Obsidian's culture by getting too big. Leanness can also refer to Obsidian's games. It doesn't aim for unprecedented scale or the most advanced graphics, and before greenlighting a game, Birch and the studio spent a lot of time determining how much to invest on a project with the assumption that it will be a mild success, not a smash hit. Now, I'll be honest, on the surface, this sounds like a smart, sustainable approach. It's actually what I've been asking a lot of these studios to do. Stay lean, keep expectations in check, and not sink into the same trap as other studios that are overextending themselves with bloated budgets and impossible sales targets. In an industry where companies are collapsing left and right, Obsidian's strategy makes sense. But then you get to the part where they assume that every game will be a mild success, and that's where everything starts to
Never mind. I was going to say something really stupid.
Click into place. This is why Avowed feels so lifeless, because it was never designed to be anything more than good enough. The writing, the world, the mechanics all feel like they were built to be serviceable, not groundbreaking, and you can see that pretty much across the game. Obsidian isn't trying to push boundaries. They aren't trying to make the next great RPG. They're trying to make a functional, decent game that checks enough boxes to be playable, enjoyable, and forgettable. But from my perspective, that's not sustainable. Because here's the thing, if you assume that all of your games are just going to be a mild success, well, that's exactly what they're going to be. That's exactly what your developers are going to aim for. This isn't just playing it safe, it's embracing mediocrity as a business model. It's one thing to be realistic about your sales projections and expectations, but when you start baking that mentality into your development process, you create games that aren't trying to be great, they're just trying to exist. I want studios to be realistic about their sales projections, but I don't want that to impact how they actually make games, and I think that's what's going on here. Larian Studios' Sven Vinke talked extensively about making sure how to keep enough money in the tank to be able to make your game, how to budget your games appropriately. But at the exact same time, all he's ever talked about is wanting to make the biggest RPG ever and how Baldur's Gate 3 was a stepping stone to that goal. So maybe this strategy keeps Obsidian alive for now. Maybe it helps them avoid layoffs or corporate disasters that we see happening at bigger studios. But what happens when the industry evolves? What happens when players' expectations rise? And when good enough stops being good enough? We've already seen that happen. Look how Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 made Avowed feel like an afterthought. Look how Baldur's Gate 3 made Starfield look obsolete. The bar is rising, and the studios that aren't reaching for it at the very least are going to get left behind. Nobody builds a legacy on mild success. Managing expectations is important, but there's a fine line between smart budgeting and outright surrendering to mediocrity. If you're so focused on avoiding failure that you never take any risks, you never push yourself, you never aim for greatness, then what's the point? And beyond that, how does Xbox feel about mild success? Because let's be real, Obsidian doesn't really have the final say here. Arcane Austin dropped one single flop and now they're gone. Hi-Fi Rush had mild success and Tango Gameworks got wiped off the map. Did Microsoft really acquire Obsidian just for them to be comfortably average? Of course they didn't. How do you think Microsoft shareholders will respond to mild success when it turns into consistently underwhelming results? Because here's the reality. Mild success isn't stability. It's a slow death march towards irrelevance. I realize I'm going to have some detractors because some people really like the game. And do you know what? That's great. By the way, this isn't a video smearing the game. This is just a video that is saying, hey, there's obviously a problem here. We need to discuss this because that's how these studios can stick around longer. I doubt that a lot of people want Obsidian to close. I want Obsidian to stick around. But yeah, let's take a minute. Let's think about it. Let's have a thought experiment. We know that they're based in Irvine, California. They have over 300 developers. I'm going to take a wild guess and say they probably spent $100 million making the game. Maybe a little bit more, maybe a little bit less. I'm probably pretty close, though. We know that they have sold, or at least they've had less than 1/4 of the concurrent players of Dragon Age the Veilguard on Steam. So, Dragon Age the Veilguard sold 1.5 billion copies. So we'll take a wild guess and say they're probably right around about 400,000 copies sold. You take out Steam's 30%. Also think about the fact that it's being played on Game Pass. And you're looking at a game that likely made around $20 million. I don't know how much they subsidize for Game Pass or how long they give these games until they need to be profitable. But I'm going to take a wild guess and say that's not going to work. And keep in mind, Outer Wilds did sell 5 million copies. But it took them 4 years to get there. And also, at the same time, even though that game was on Game Pass, well, Game Pass wasn't as big then. Xbox hadn't spent $70 billion acquiring Activision Blizzard. Xbox isn't also dealing with the issue that Call of Duty is losing relevance at a wild rate. It is crazy. You guys need to go look at that stuff. Still need to make a video on that. So that's a lot of money they're hemorrhaging over there right now. I just don't see this working in the long run. It's going to be too hard for them to justify if they keep costing them money.
Yeah, I think they're happy as long as they break even, it sounds like.
Because imagine if you're always aiming for mild success and then you miss. That's not good, man. That's not good.
Bars.
You know, I like hearing studios that are trying to be responsible, that are trying to budget themselves the right way. But I think the problem is that sometimes you can get too caught up in that, and then you're not giving your developers the freedom that they need. I should have brought this up, and I just had it pop into my mind right now. And the director of Obsidian was one of the same people that jumped forward and was talking about how Baldur's Gate 3 is an anomaly, you know, way back when they had that big drama, and how, you know, they don't really have a lot of autonomy because they don't have a lot of choice what they can do with their games because of money. And saying that that's why Baldur's Gate 3 succeeded is because they got to put their money in the right places and stuff like that. Which leads me to believe that they don't really have all that much control over their game or over the, you know, creative freedom of the games that they're making, which would lead to a lot of issues. That's the conclusion that I'm coming to at the very least. But I still believe, you know, the other thing that I brought up is that, you know, studios and their obsessions with politics, especially with some of these folks, especially when it's your artist, it's your art director. that is going to be reflected in your game. And I think that Obsidian is now turning into one of those same studios that is walking down the wrong path, focusing on the wrong things, and not realizing what audiences want today. And you need to recognize that. Otherwise, you're going to lose them. And right now, Obsidian is losing them. Western studios, man, they just can't get their shit together. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thank you guys for watching. If you guys did enjoy, like the channel, like the video, subscribe to the channel, follow me on Twitch, follow me on Twitter. I ran over there as well. People have been really enjoying the random shit that I talk about on that side. So, you know, you can.
If any of you guys got a video, be fired to drop.
What is the best?
The darkest moment of my entire life is knowing that I am. The darkest moment of my entire life is knowing that I am capable of murdering children. And I realize.
What is
the dark?
Bro. I was a Twitch streamer. I was expecting something else, not that, bud. Nope, we're not going down that path. No, sir.
The basis of
cosmic horror is an interesting thing, especially in like manga. I mean, manga. I said manga. Mango.
$50,000 isn't mine. It belongs to something called a prop firm. So I paid $50,000.
Oh my god, that sounds horrible.
Hey, the
Avowed.
How did this rapper go from this to this? We're gonna get into this troubling story. What's up, y'all? So I used to listen to this artist a few years back, and his name was Lil Wop. And for a very long time, I thought that he was from Atlanta. But while doing a tiny bit of research for this video, I found out he's actually from Chicago, Illinois. You will soon see why I thought he was from Atlanta though. So how he grew up and all that doesn't really matter because we need to get into the pipeline here. But a quick summary about Lil Wop is that he started rapping in 2016 after his little brother told him to come to Atlanta and try to better his music career. He was like, you know what, maybe I should come to Atlanta. I really fuck with Atlanta. So he's 29 right now. And doing the math, he would have been 19 or 20 when he moved. So he's at least a year or two out of high school at this point. Anyway, he moves to Atlanta, and in 2016, he drops this project, Wopster. Now, Wopster is a pretty good project. Like, I'm not finna sit here and lie. I don't know how to explain it, but I do remember seeing the cover for it on Spinrilla, and one day, I was just like, you know what? I'll listen. That was actually the day I discovered Trippie Redd, who actually became a pretty frequent collaborator of Lil Wop. If I'm not mistaken, I think they have quite a few, like, unreleased songs. And I think Lil Wop is on Trippie's album from... I don't even know. I'm not a big Trippie Redd fan. It doesn't matter. What does matter is that Lil Wop definitely gave off the vibe during this whole come up that he was a real, you know, street dude. Like he wanted them. I mean, you would hear some of his songs from his tapes and, you know, you would just think immediately like, oh, okay, this guy's probably, you know, a YN, as y'all like to call him. At least that's what I thought when I first discovered him. Now, after rapping for only 2 years, he would sign to 1017, you know, Gucci's label that is extremely cursed. Let me know if y'all want a video on that, because I will do it. But he signed, and his big homie Oso Rico kind of not really put that together, but Oso Rico was one of his earliest, you know, collaborative partners. Now, apparently, they had a bit of a falling out because, I don't even remember.
How was the friendship, man? Like, was you guys sliding on each other every day? Was you guys, like, just kicking it?
Man, that was like my, you feel me?
Okay.
That was supposed to be my slime, man, my blood, my brother, you feel me?
You know, when did he start acting funny? Like, when did you notice that?
No, he was with this record label called Alamo Records first.
Right.
So, he was responding, We was still talking then like every day, man. You know what I'm saying?
Okay.
And once Gucci came around, it was like on and off. You feel me? He was like,
Oh yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
So he started changing when Gucci Man started with him.
Yeah, he started changing. You feel me? Once you cut the check, I'm gonna fly you down here and all that. You know what I'm saying? You know. And then I never hear from him again.
Y'all know how niggas can be sometimes. The money changed him. He left me in the dust. He said he would bring me with him. You know, all that shit. But I'm gonna be real. I kind of feel for this guy. And you want to know why?
They're offering them.
Because I think he's suspect. Sus! That's right. I said it. I think bro wanted a little bit more than shine from Mr. Wop himself. More on that later. So Lil Wop signs to 1017 or whatever, and he's hot, you know, he's dropping banger after banger project. Now, one thing I will say, even though I said it at the beginning of the video, is that I was literally listening to Lil Wop, bro. I ain't gonna lie, you know, Wapavelli, Wapavelli 2, Wapavelli 3, and guess what? You won't even fucking believe which one was my favorite. Take a guess. Too late, Wapavelli 4, baby! That was crank! Y'all know me. I'm a glasses wearing, metal listening, sometimes anime watching ass nigga. But I am kind of a hood nigga or whatever. I mean, I did kind of grow up in what society would consider low income housing or whatever. But I'm not a YN, okay? I've never been in a shootout or anything like that. But listening to these projects made me feel like I had ops that just didn't even exist. Okay, one of those types of songs. Especially when he was working with Digital Nas, who truly needs way more shine. Digital Nas is one of my favorite producers of all time. Anyway, though, so a few years later, I want to say 2022, Lil Wop has been signed for a minute, and I think at this point he actually wasn't signed anymore. More on why later, but Lil Wop had been signed for a minute, now he wasn't, and one day, randomly this picture gets posted on Instagram. Now I want y'all to remember what I was just talking about, how his music is very street coded, definitely talking about robbing, killing, swerving, you know, all the nigga shit that street niggas rap about. So seeing this picture, like, I remember being on my phone and just randomly seeing it because I followed him. First thing I did was unfollow that nigga. After that, I was like, I thought he gotta be hacked. But this was when AI couldn't really make pictures like this, bro. So, like, I was like, holy shit, this is real. Like, this is him. Then the fucking caption, bro. Quote, I'm bisexual. I like guys and girls. It's whatever. With the... with that emoji. Bro, I was in a PS4 party or some shit, and I just remember out loud going like, what the fuck? Like, I still remember this shit, bro. So let me clarify for y'all. Hold on. Let me clarify for y'all. A nigga can do whatever the fuck he wants. I really don't care. In fact, I find it more gay to be worried about what another man is doing with his meat. Because why are you worried about another nigga's meat? That's weird and suspect. Let niggas do what they want to do. Now, I did say I immediately unfollowed him because I'm just not trying to see that shit. That's just me, though. So a few months later, he decides to go on Say Cheese, one of the nastiest, messiest publications for hip-hop journalism in the goddamn world, and basically come out.
What made you post that? Take us through that whole ordeal, that whole situation.
What made me post it? Cause like shit, for real. I was just saying how I feel for real, like on some real shit, on some, you know. Don't get me wrong, I ain't out here sucking no dick and getting fucked in the ass and no shit like that. But you feel what I'm saying? I'll make a nigga my bitch. Like, you wanna be my bitch? I'll make a motherfucker my bitch quick. Like, I don't give no fuck. Like, I ain't out here looking at motherfuckers like, yeah, I want him, I want that. It's like, nah, I got a certain type. I like transgender shit like that. So shit, you know.
This is a little weird to listen to. I don't know.
Hey, bro, hold on. Why did he lick his lips like that after saying that, bro? Nigga started thinking and reminiscing. I still can't believe this is real, bro. My fault, y'all. So anyway, yeah, he comes out, and I'm gonna be real, a lot of people weren't super happy about this. It's not that everyone was like, oh wow, Lil Wop, we hate you because you're suspect. It's more like people were just like shocked and honestly kind of over Lil Wop at that point. Now, I did say his projects were hard, but around this time, he wasn't signed anymore to 1017 because he actually had issues with Gucci Mane. And also, I do kind of just want to clarify, like, it never really got fully explained why he left 1017. Like, he did make a post saying, oh, I didn't get kicked or dropped, like I just left. But I don't know, like it just never got explained. He just called Gucci Mane a weirdo, and that was the end of his 1017 era. It just, it's kind of a mystery, but I'm pretty sure we all know why. Let's be serious. On top of the fact that his sound basically stayed the same for 6 whole fucking years. Eventually, niggas started getting tired of talking on the internet, but they won't come outside. If you come around here after dark, or you won't survive. Like, Lil Wop definitely has a time attached to his music. This is something I've actually spoken about on my channel before, is that we do kind of like it when an artist stays the same for as long as they can, right? But eventually, there needs to be room for progress and improvement.
Yeah.
Give y'all a prime example. I'll make it quick because I do need to get to the actual topic of this video. But we all miss 2016 and 2017 Lil Uzi. But do we really think if Uzi kept making Love Is Rages, he would have gotten any bigger? No. You have to improve as an artist. That's the funny part about hip-hop, is we're always complaining, oh, I miss the old such and such. But if they kept rapping like that, you get sick of that shit. And with Lil Wop, niggas got sick of that shit. In turn, he basically fell off. Now, I remember reading the comments, other than the hacked shit, saying, oh, he's trying to revive his career by pulling this stunt, which at the time, nobody knew this was not a stunt. This was this was dead-ass Lil Wop. And honestly, it only got deeper from here. Pause. So if y'all remember in this clip when he said he don't be trying to crack niggas, well, listen to this.
At what age did you start to realize, though, that you were non-traditional in who you were attracted to?
I mean, like I said, I've always been like an open-minded person. And it just took for me to actually experience it. I'm like, you feel me? Like, it was an experience, and I fucked with it.
What the fuck?
And, you know, I always...
Oh, you thought that was it? Check this out. Yeah.
Oh my God.
It started off as him just being kind of suspect as fuck. But now he's fully on that end. Like, that's the most I can say without losing money. And I mean, like I said, bro can do him. I don't care. I still listen to his old music occasionally. Now it's just, I'm fully aware of the kind of nigga he is, so it just low-key don't really hit the same. I'm sorry, y'all. Let me get to the point of this video, though. So just about 3 years later, a video was surfaced of Lil Wop getting arrested. Prepare yourselves for public gooning. That's right. I said it. I'll say it again. Public gooning.
What?
Yep, this is our winner. Sit back down.
Sit down.
Sit back down. Sit back down.
Sit down.
Why is this?
Sit down.
I'm just doing my thing, bro.
What is your problem, dude?
I don't have a problem.
You're up here masturbating. Your pants are down.
Oh my God.
I just saw you. Stop reaching for shit.
I'll reach out for stuff, okay?
Stop reaching for stuff. Without reaching for anything, you have an ID on you. I said without reaching for anything, do you have an ID on you? You really need to start paying attention. No, seriously, for sure. No, you don't.
You got your license. Come back, bro.
What the fuck?
Now, how he got to this point, I feel like it's pretty obvious that this man is a drug addict. I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be so blunt about it, but I mean, bro, come on, man. It's not like it's not like he was really hiding it either. I mean, this guy was always rapping about popping this perk and sipping that, lean that, you know. Then on top of that, I think this nigga blew the fuck out of his 1017 advance. Not meaning like he was dead broke right after. Maybe not even right now, but like he made the extremely common mistakes of not investing his money. Like me personally, if I got an advance from a label up front, I'm buying studio equipment for the crib. But sometimes when you get a lot of money really quickly, you don't really know what to do with it. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but I feel like Lil Wop with the Wop went down the wrong path. Now, I do need to clarify again, there's nothing wrong with what he chooses to do in his spare time as far as being, you know, Wapiana. But the gooning in public shows me the old Wop we all knew that seemed to be a soul snatcher. Well, he probably is a soul snatcher, just in a different way. I don't know, man. I mean, I hope the dude genuinely gets some help. It seems like he is down terrible. And I mean, look at this picture. Like, looking at this guy, you can tell, like,
Yep,
he's
going
really
through
thinking about everything. I mean, he doesn't even look the same. It's sad. Anyway, I'm UVXCX. Stay off them drugs. Later.
That was fucking... That took a turn. The comments.
What happens to a man when thousands of women start treating him like a god? Does he reject it? Does he embrace it?
Jared Leto has his own cult.
Or does he abuse it? Most people know Jared Leto, the actor, a talented performer whose obsessive nature sometimes makes him take things too far. Others know Jared Leto, the musician, a charismatic frontman whose larger-than-life persona blurs the lines between art and self-glorification. But a small group of his most loyal fans know Leto as something else, a leader. They call themselves the Echelon. They gather on private islands, dress in all white, and treat his performances almost like religious experiences. And they insist with proud smiles that outsiders just wouldn't understand. When you're on top of the world, the rules start to feel different. The boundaries that govern normal behavior can begin to blur. Jared Leto has always pushed the envelope with his acting. For Dallas Buyers Club, he starved himself to lose 30 pounds and refused to break character as a trans woman for weeks, insisting crew members treat him as female even when the cameras weren't rolling. For Chapter 27, he gained 67 pounds to play John Lennon's killer, developing gout so severe he needed a wheelchair to move around the set. But it was during the filming of Suicide Squad, where he played the Joker, that he finally went too far. He sent various inappropriate gifts to his co-stars, claiming it was part of his method acting. But while method acting is about understanding a character's psychology, Leto seemed more interested in using it as an excuse to harass people.
Oh, how about the gifts you gave everyone? Rats, bullets, a hog. Where did that come from?
Don't forget the anal beads.
Who did you send anal beads to?
The used condoms.
Did not.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
Step back, friend. You can't just say used condoms and we're just gonna like forget.
I know it's a family show, but we can.
Don't worry.
We can educate people here. At least they were used.
Who did you send used condoms to?
Oh, everybody.
There's really no justification for this behavior, especially since Leto's Joker turned out to be terrible anyway. When asked about his antics, his co-stars did their best to stay professional, but you could tell from the way they spoke about it and the grimaces they made that it really freaked them out.
Did you get one?
Yes, I got so many weird things. I can't even begin to tell you the weird things I got.
You talk about commitment, and then he sends Margot Robbie a black rat. It was still alive in a box. She screamed.
I got that. Jared sent. Wait a minute. We can't just skip over that. Yeah. You get a used condom. What do you say? What do you think? You say Jared has gone full Joker.
They all kept their true feelings to themselves, at least publicly, but Jared got dragged online for what he did. People felt he crossed the line, and the backlash grew strong enough that the following year he tried to walk the whole thing back.
What exactly did people get wrong about the Joker?
I mean, I just think that there were some things, you know, that were mentioned about like gifts and the fact that I was giving used condoms to people, which was not true.
We can say that right now. That is not true.
It was not true. And what are you going to do at that moment? You can't even, it doesn't matter how loud you shout or hold up a sign, you know, with your pants off in Times Square. People are going to go with the story that they want to run.
This didn't make much sense because he was talking like he didn't admit these things himself. He later tried downplaying it all as harmless gift giving between the cast, but then quickly went back on the defensive.
And to see it kind of taken and manipulated, taken out of context, and to be made this really horrid thing, and then to have people speak about it like it was a thing.
I don't know, man. If my coworker sent me a used condom, I'd probably beat his ass.
Offensive when it was anything but. Look, you work the way you work, I'll work the way I work. You can kiss my ass if you don't like it.
This controversy is one of the more well-known examples of Leto's strange behavior, but it's barely the tip of the iceberg. When you start digging into his past, it gets much, much worse. In 1994, a then unknown Jared Leto landed his breakout role as Jordan Catalano in My So-Called Life. With his brooding looks and natural charisma, he quickly established himself as a Hollywood heartthrob. Roles in cult classics like Fight Club, American Psycho, and Requiem for a Dream followed, proving he had the acting chops to match his leading man appeal. But acting wasn't enough. In 1998, in parallel with his successful run in Hollywood, Leto and his brother Shannon formed a band called 30 Seconds to Mars. What could have been dismissed as another actor's vanity project would instead become something far more significant and concerning. The band found a lot of success in the alternative rock scene. Their mix of epic rock anthems and relatable themes about struggle, love, and faith struck a chord with audiences. When The Kill hit radio stations in the mid-2000s, it cemented 30 Seconds to Mars' place in the alternative music world. The music video, which features an eerie and passionate performance from Leto, racked up millions of views. 2 of their earlier albums were platinum, and the band's ambitions grew. Their live shows became legendary for their intensity, and the group toured endlessly, so much that they earned a Guinness World Record for the most live shows during a single album cycle. While other actors' bands came and went, Leto's kept going from strength to strength. He understood that music could give him something acting couldn't: direct access to adoring fans who would treat him like a king. These followers came to be known as the Echelon. The name itself is telling, a military term for units falling in formation, each one falling in line behind the other. At first, it seemed like typical fan club branding. The devoted fans, the merch,
I heard of this band, but I obviously didn't know it was Jared Leto's band. Oh my god.
Sense of community. We'd seen it all before with other bands, but Leto had bigger ambitions. The Echelon wasn't just a fan club, it was a family. At least that's how Jared
This man was probably rolling in the
Members would
poon.
follow the band around the world, attending every possible show. They'd get tattoos of the band's triad symbol, share inside jokes, and defend Leto fiercely against any criticism. At one point, the band even released merchandise that said, yes, this is a cult. Played off as humor, but in hindsight, maybe it wasn't so funny.
I wasn't going to ask about this, but I heard you mention it right before the interview started. You have an Echelon? What is the deal with that? It's kind of like an entourage?
It's no. That's actually a name that has been given to our most passionate fans out there, and they are a very, very unique group of people that really believe in 30 Seconds to Mars, and they travel from show to show to show, and it's the very core following that we have.
This is just scary stuff, bro.
What exactly is a cult? It can be defined as a social group built around a charismatic leader, where members display intense devotion and their beliefs or practices set them apart from mainstream society. By this definition, Leto's comment isn't far from the truth. His social media posts often contain the words "you wouldn't understand," a saying his devoted followers quickly adopted as their own.
This man has like a whole little symbol.
That they're part of something special, something outsiders couldn't possibly
It's like a weird
comprehend.
gang sign, bro.
Eventually,
Fuck
their concerts
that.
began to feel less like rock shows and
Why
more
does
like
it look
idol
like
worship
Jesus?
gatherings. Leto would perform from elevated platforms dressed in flowy robes and dance around the stage like some rock and roll messiah. He grew accustomed to his fans obsessing over him and putting him on a pedestal, and ultimately he came to expect it. In 2011, we got a taste of this when he publicly humiliated an audience member for sitting down during his show.
Uh-oh.
Hold on. Hey, buddy. Hey, yo, you, with your fingers in your chin beard, what are you sitting on your fucking ass for? Huh?
What a dick.
This is the 30 Seconds to Mars show,
It
okay?
just sounds like an asshole.
If you can't stand up, you better be up off your fucking ass right now, you hear me? Does he understand what I'm saying to him right now? No, don't look behind you, I'm looking at you. Yes, you. Yes, you. Oh, thank you very much.
This
Imagine
leads us on to
stopping a
Camp
whole
Mars.
show
In
for this dumb
2015,
shit.
Leto created an experience that would bring him closer to his fans than ever before. Away from regular concerts and conventional meet and greets, he established something far more personal. A Malibu retreat where he could spend days undisturbed with his most devoted followers.
Who has something like this? Who does a camp like this? No one else does. It's a really beautiful gift to be able to do something that's so unique.
Yeah, man, it started a cult. Jesus Christ.
Packages ranged from basic tent camping to VIP experiences, each promising different levels of access to Leto himself. Outdoor activities, acoustic performances, and group meditations filled the schedule. What started as a one-off event quickly became an annual tradition, but for Leto, that wasn't enough. In 2019, he took things further with Mars Island, a 3-day retreat on a private Croatian island.
But we're excited about it. Looking forward to taking a dip in the sea, water sports, beautiful sunsets. I've been known to like a good sunset.
The basic package started at $1,700
Nobody cares.
and went up to $7,200 for the VIP option. But if you wanted the full experience, stub
I like anime titties, but nobody cares.
the Phoenix package, you are required to pay an undisclosed amount. Reportedly, these VIP experiences included alone time with Leto as one of the main perks. Fans were encouraged to prove their dedication through purchasing, whether it was special merchandise, an extra night stay, or symbolic tattoos. This business model bears striking similarities to other controversial organizations like NXIVM or Scientology, where devotion and dollars are inextricably linked. Mornings on Mars Island were filled with yoga, water sports, and other group activities, but it was the afternoons and evenings that painted a much more sinister picture. Attendees, mostly young women, would dress in all white for what looked almost like ceremonial gatherings.
That's so weird.
Find a spot to lay down on the ground.
What the fuck?
During the first retreat, pictures emerged of everyone in their white clothes following Leto around the island. He was giving speeches in various different locations as his throng of devoted followers hung onto his every word. His brother was nowhere to be seen in most of the images that came out, but it's hardly surprising. This was never about the band. It was about building something that placed Leto firmly at the center, and this was only made more obvious by the shows they held at the retreats. The performances were dubbed the Church of Mars, two intimate shows where Leto appeared draped in white robes like some sort of spiritual figure. The imagery wasn't subtle, but then again, Leto has never tried to be. Since the debut of Mars Island, the retreats have continued taking place. The prices have risen, but the demand hasn't wavered. The echelon remains as devoted as ever, but as Mars Island has grown in popularity, so have concerns about Leto's past. In interviews throughout his career, we've seen Leto's desire for power and control play out, especially with female journalists. What's presented as charm and charisma often crosses into something more unsettling. Leto has developed a signature approach. He brings interviewers uncomfortably close, makes inappropriate comments about their appearance, and creates situations where they're forced to play along with his advances.
You're quite beautiful, by the way.
Thank you.
I just tell the truth.
I just noticed how perfect your hair was. It's so
This guy's got
perfect. Do you do it yourself or does
This guy's a
someone
little
else?
I do
creepy.
it myself.
Do you?
Thank you very much.
I meant more in the sense of like,
No, we're
photography
just kidding.
or
We're
what.
joking. We're joking.
Okay, okay.
Squeeze your mic. Oh, look at that. For a long time, can I squeeze your mic?
What turns me on? I would like to answer
What
that.
the fuck? It
by
looked like he
asking a
jerked her
question.
mic off,
What
bro.
doesn't turn me on?
You know, the light is starting to hit your body in a way, and it made me notice your hair and how lovely you
Turning
look.
the color of my shirt right
But
now.
you have like skin poking out here, and these, a whole thing happened.
Don't let go. Don't let go.
That's my trick. That's my
This is making my soul
Notice
cringe
how
a
he
little.
pushes the interactions well past the point of discomfort. The women constantly found themselves trapped between
Imagine having a montage of you out there being a fucking weirdo.
maintaining professionalism and dealing with unwanted physical contact.
Thank you, Amelia, sweetie. Thank you so much, Jared. Oh, are we? Okay. She's not going anywhere.
I haven't finished here. There's work yet to be
fine.
done.
Have you had it?
Into her eyes, they're absolutely, insane. They're gold and blue and...
These moments follow a pattern. Leto uses his status to create situations where women can't easily object. They're on camera trying to conduct a professional interview, while he turns a situation into something creepy and predatory. And if this is how he behaves when the cameras are rolling, you can only imagine what happens behind closed doors. Allegations of Leto's predatory behavior are documented as far back as 2005, when the New York Post published an article detailing how the then 33-year-old Leto was aggressively pursuing teenage models. According to their sources, he would book hotel suites near where young models were staying and bombard them with text messages. The article said he's been approaching all the girls and inviting them to his shows. He's a serial texter. He's constantly texting 16 and 17-year-old girls. It's really kind of creepy. These types of allegations weren't a one-off. In 2013, multiple women allegedly made sexual assault allegations against him on a now-deleted message board. The accusations ranged from sexual coercion to pedophilia, and many of the stories were seriously disturbing. One woman said, "I met Jared Leto when I was 17 on one of his movie sets in Brooklyn when he was turning 34. Apparently, she would often meet Leto at hotels near Gramercy Park in New York. She claimed that Leto told her to verbally tell him that she was 14 or 15, adding he was quite pushy into coercing me to do sexual acts with him, and he was quite rough and forceful." That same year, Leto did an interview where he was questioned about some sexual lyrics in his songs.
Let's talk about the lyrics. You can probably guess which lyrics I'm going to pick out of Up in the Air.
I don't know. Surprise me.
I'll wrap my hands around your neck so tight with love, love, love.
Yeah.
Quite erotic.
Is it?
Tell us a little bit
It's
more.
funny that you would take it that way.
Tell us what the song's about if that's not what it is.
Well, I think, what is it they say? Everything is about sex, except for sex. Sex is about power.
We know Jared thrives off the feeling of control. That much is clear from everything we've seen so far. His fans make him feel untouchable, leading him to flaunt his power in increasingly obvious ways. In May 2013...
Yeah, man, imagine how delusional you become if you just have thousands of people tell you can do no wrong.
30 Seconds to Mars ran a competition titled The Sleepover. It was supposedly done to promote their new album, but it may have had a much darker purpose. The call to action read, "Pre-order your copy of Love, Lust, Faith and Dreams for a chance to be one of 5 winners who will receive an exclusive invitation to the lab for a magical night we are calling The Sleepover. One of 5 winners will spend the night in Jared's house in Jared's very own bed." Yes, it's true.
Fuck?
Leto followed this up with a creepy tweet saying, "I'll admit, my bed is more like a hotel than most."
Never have I ever hooked up with a fan on tour. Really? Yeah.
In 2015, the situation escalated with allegations against him from within Hollywood itself. In the early hours of the morning on June 8th, James Gunn, the director of blockbuster movies like Guardians of the Galaxy, went live on Periscope and discussed Leto's predatory behavior. No record of the video is left online, but reports indicate that he expressed a dislike for Leto and called him out for sleeping with underage girls. The following morning, he made this post on Instagram. "Good morning to Bogota, Colombia, and sorry to all of you around the world who saw my ambient-fueled Periscope session last night at 3 a.m. Yes, I erased it." 3 years on from this, when things appear to have quietened down, another allegation surfaced, this time from Dylan Sprouse.
Oh shit.
He tagged Jared on Twitter saying, "Yo, Jared Leto, now that you slid into the DMs of every female model aged 18 to 25, what would you say your success rate is?" This was unexpected. Many wondered why Dylan Sprouse, who they grew up watching on The Sweet Life of Zack and Cody, would be calling out Jared Leto, but on closer inspection, the answer seems clear. Dylan had recently begun dating Hungarian model Barbara Palvin, who at 24 was right in the age range he mentioned. Having started in the industry at 16, Palvin had spent years in the same circles where these alleged pursuits took place. It's likely that through their relationship, Dylan learned firsthand about Leto's behavior in the modeling industry, whether through Barbara's personal experiences or those of her peers. In response to his tweet, James Gunn popped up again saying he starts at 18 on the internet. Following this, Dylan posted a story on Instagram of an email he received from Twitter. Apparently, he'd received a complaint regarding his account due to the tweet he made about Leto. However, after investigating, Twitter said they couldn't identify any violation of their rules, and therefore had decided to take no action. Dylan's response, "Nice try, Satan." Despite the allegations against Leto spanning decades, his response has been complete silence. No denials, no explanations, just a noticeable absence of any comment or recognition. Yet somehow, his position in Hollywood has remained stable. He continues to land major roles in blockbuster films, while his controversial behavior gets swept under the rug. He benefits from a system that protects him on all fronts. A devoted fan base that defends him fiercely, an industry that turns a blind eye to controversy, and a celebrity status that shields him from consequences. The echelon grows, Mars Island sells out, movie budgets get bigger, and all those allegations, they just fade into whispers, drowned out by the sound of thousands chanting his name. How does a guy go from being
that was fucked.
one of the most popular faces in the movie business to being forgotten by everyone, even his own best friend? In the 2000s and early 2010s, James Franco was everywhere, known for his roles in films like Spider-Man, Pineapple Express, and 127 Hours, and beloved for his collaborations with his best friend Seth Rogen. Together they were a comedic powerhouse, dominating the box office and earning a reputation as one of Hollywood's most dynamic duos. But behind the scenes, something darker was brewing. As Franco's star rose, so did whispers of troubling behavior, fueled by his questionable actions both on and off set. What started as minor controversies quickly snowballed into accusations that poisoned his career and relationships, including his friendship with Seth Rogen. The two had been inseparable, and their camaraderie was something special. But as the accusations piled up, Rogen found himself at a crossroads: stand by his friend or confront the uncomfortable truth. For years, James Franco was the quintessential Hollywood success story. Getting his big break playing James Dean in the 2001 biopic, Franco quickly became one of the industry's most versatile actors. He had a knack for balancing blockbuster roles with indie projects, and this made him a favorite among critics and audiences alike. He didn't just act, he lived the part, constantly pushing boundaries with the roles he chose, and this made him stand out amongst the crowd. His rise continued with the breakout success of Pineapple Express, where he starred opposite his real-life friend Seth Rogen. The two had a natural, easy chemistry, and their partnership quickly became one of Hollywood's most iconic. Pineapple Express was a massive hit, grossing over $100 million worldwide, and solidifying Franco's place in the comedy mainstream. He and Seth's friendship, which began during their time on the TV show Freaks and Geeks, grew stronger as their careers took off together. They shared the same laid-back, irreverent sense of humor, which translated into their films and public appearances. Franco's versatility became more apparent as he continued to diversify his career. In 2010, he starred in 127 Hours, where he portrayed real-life hiker Aaron Ralston. The role earned him an Academy Award nomination for Best Actor, and the film itself was praised for its intense storytelling. It was a defining moment in Franco's career, showcasing his range as a serious actor, but at the same time, he continued to take on unconventional projects like Spring Breakers, where he played the unpredictable gangster Alien. With each role, he seemed to be carving out a niche as a risk-taking actor, but eventually this landed him in hot water. In 2014, Franco starred alongside Rogen in the film The Interview, a satirical comedy that centers on two American journalists who are recruited by the CIA to assassinate North Korean leader Kim Jong-un after they score an interview with him. The film was meant to be a light-hearted political satire, filled with absurd humor and the duo's signature comedy style. However, the movie quickly became embroiled in controversy. North Korea saw the film as a direct attack on their leader and as an act of political aggression. The regime threatened violent retaliation against any theater that showed the film, even suggesting acts of terrorism. In response, major theater chains pulled the movie from their lineups, and Sony Pictures initially cancelled its wide release. Despite the chaos, the film was eventually released digitally and in a limited number of theaters, receiving a mix of praise for its boldness and criticism for its provocative nature. Franco and Rogen were at the center of it all, and they weathered the storm together, but little did they know that things were about to get a lot worse. The same year The Interview was released, reports came out about Franco's relations with an underage girl. Lucy Code, a 17-year-old high school student from Scotland, attended the Broadway play Of Mice and Men, which Franco was starring in. She took a picture with him after the show and shared it on Instagram, tagging Franco.
You gotta tag me.
Franco saw the photo and decided to send her a direct message, and they began messaging back and forth. He didn't waste much time, as he quickly asked her whether she's 18, who she's with, and if she has a boyfriend. She replied saying she's not 18, she's with her mum, and she doesn't have a boyfriend if he's around. Despite knowing her age, Franco proceeded to ask which hotel she's staying at, and if he should rent a room. Lucy was in disbelief, and she began to question his identity, so she asked him to take a picture of himself holding a piece of paper with her name written on it, and he did. However, she still decided against meeting him, and after sharing the conversation with her friends, it got leaked online. News outlets ran away with the story, and Franco did an interview confessing he messed up.
I guess I'm just a model of, how social media is tricky. It's a way people meet each other today, but what I've learned, I guess just because I'm new to it, it's like you don't know who's on the other end. So I use bad judgment, and I learned my lesson.
Initially, a lot of people thought the whole thing was a marketing tactic for his new movie Palo Alto, where he plays a soccer coach who seduces his 14-year-old babysitter. But Franco's admission here proved that it was all true. He was 36 when this happened, so it was a very creepy move, and it put some of his previous behavior in a new light, such as this picture of him hugging a 15-year-old girl from behind. Franco didn't help his image with an Instagram post he made less than a month later, where he could be seen sweating, half naked, with his hand down his boxers. It was all giving very seedy vibes, and being his best friend, Seth Rogen decided to tease him for it during an appearance he made on SNL.
Wednesday, 3 p.m. They read all the sketches out loud. I didn't feel like I did great, so to make myself feel better, I decided to prank James Franco. I posed as a girl on Instagram. Told him I was way young. He seemed unfazed. I have a date to meet him at the Ace Hotel.
As you can see, he made light of the situation at the time, but that was something he came to regret. In 2017, Franco made the movie The Disaster Artist, which tells the story of the making of The Room, a cult film notorious for being one of the worst movies ever made. Franco plays Tommy Wiseau, the strange and mysterious man behind the film. His performance as Wiseau was amazing, but it caused serious problems on set because of Franco's method acting. For some reason, he stayed in character even when the cameras weren't rolling, talking and acting like Wiseau all the time, and this made it very difficult for others to work with him or speak with him just as Franco. Rogen worked with him on the film and he found it uncomfortable, saying, "I couldn't deal with it, straight up, for the first 2 days. People would come up to me and ask me, 'Where's James?' And I was like, 'He's right fucking there.'" Franco had a habit of being difficult to work with due to his method acting. For example, Tyrese Gibson still hates him after the experience he had working with him on the movie Annapolis, due to Franco repeatedly punching him in the face for real during their fight scenes. However, James's method acting antics didn't seem to hold him back professionally, because his performance in The Disaster Artist earned him a Golden Globe for Best Actor. It was here though, at the point that was supposed to be the highlight of his career, that everything came crashing down. You see, when Franco took the stage, he was wearing a Time's Up pin. This was to show support for the Me Too movement, which was in full swing at the time, but all the pin ended up doing was paint a target on his back. Shortly after his win, several women came forward accusing him of sexually exploitative behavior. Cue Time's Up pin, James Franco. Remember the time you pushed my head down in a car towards your exposed penis? And that other time you told my friend to come to your hotel when she was 17, after you had already been caught doing that to a different 17-year-old? Hey James Franco, nice Time's Up pin at the Golden Globes. Remember a few weeks ago when you told me the full nudity you had me do in 2 of your movies for $100 a day wasn't exploitative because I signed a contract to do it? Time's up on that. Franco was quick to issue a public response, appearing on The Late Show with Stephen Colbert just 2 days after winning the Golden Globe, and Seth Meyers' show a day after that.
The things that I heard that were on Twitter are not accurate.
Well, the ones I read were not accurate.
The way I live my life, I can't live if there's restitution to be made. I will make it.
I have my own side of this story, but I believe in, these people that have been underrepresented getting their stories out enough that I will, hold back things that I could say just because I believe in it that much. And if I have to take a knock because I'm not gonna, try and, actively refute things, then I will, because I believe in it that much.
People in the comments gave him credit for going on the shows despite knowing he'd be asked about the allegations, and the general sentiment was that he was innocent until proven guilty. However, just after he made these appearances, a bombshell investigation was reported on by the LA Times, where 5 women accused Franco of inappropriate or sexually exploitative behavior. Most of these women were students of Franco's at one point or another. They said he would abuse his position of power to get the girls into sexually compromising positions, often by using the promise of job opportunities in his upcoming projects. One woman who he taught in 2012 said that at first she thought he was a really generous spirit, but her feelings changed after she was selected to appear in one of his art films. Apparently, the shoot was at a strip club, where Franco approached her and the other woman and asked them, "So who wants to take their shirt off?" storming off after no one volunteered. One of the other women there said he was visibly angry when they declined. Things got worse when he opened his acting school, Studio 4, in 2014, where he got access to way more young, aspiring actresses. One woman said that for years she received mass email requests from Franco to audition for roles playing a prostitute or a hooker. Apparently he was relentless, and he even had a program called Franco's Sex Scenes Masterclass, which facilitated this kind of behavior. One of the women to write the tweets about him, Sarah the Kaplan, attended one of these classes and shot a short film where she appeared nude. The film was uploaded to Vimeo, but in 2017 she discovered images from it on at least one porn site. She also had another horrible experience after she accepted a small role in one of Franco's low-budget movies.
I don't even know what I'm allowed to say. That's the scary thing, is like I'm terrified for my career.
Sarah was a student in Franco's acting class. She says she agreed to appear nude in Franco's low-budget movie, but was taken aback when she was asked to appear in a bonus scene involving an orgy.
It was a lot of nudity and sex scenes that I felt were not artistically justified and were added in after the fact.
She alleged that as part of the scene, she and a handful of other women were selected to appear with Franco, who simulated performing oral sex on each of them. However, he removed a clear plastic guard that covered their vaginas and continued to simulate the sex act with no protection. Sarah commented saying she got it in her head pretty quickly that, okay, you don't say no to this guy, which summed up the experience of Franco's next alleged victim, Violet Haley. Violet wasn't a student of Franco's, but more so a mentee. She was in recovery for substance abuse when they met through a mutual friend, and Franco took an interest in her writing. Eventually, their relationship turned romantic, and very early on, he allegedly pressured her into performing oral sex on him, an act she'd never done with him at that point. She said, "I was talking to him, all of a sudden his penis was out. I got really nervous and I said, can we do this later? He was kind of nudging my head down and I just didn't want him to hate me, so I did it."
Because of the power dynamic, this situation was so surreal and I wanted him to like me.
Clearly, Franco had no issue with abusing his position of authority to get what he wanted. Another troubling situation occurred with his personal assistant, who spoke about how he has a real dark side.
He's definitely got 2 personalities, and that doesn't mean he doesn't have a great sweet side, but when he has his other side, it's the complete polar opposite.
Tatiana was Franco's personal assistant from 2011 to 2013. She says she also had a romantic relationship with him until 2016. She shared text messages in which he used abusive language and asked if she was retarded.
The impression he gave me of the industry
what the fuck?
deterred me from pursuing a dream I thought I always wanted.
These interviews and the in-depth investigation by the LA Times added a huge amount of weight to what started as a few concerning tweets. Franco was in trouble, and to make it worse, Scarlett Johansson denounced him in front of millions during her Women's March speech.
How could a person publicly stand by an organization that helps to provide support for victims of sexual assault while privately preying on people who have no power? I want my pin back, by the way.
As bad as this was, it seemed like at the very least, his best friend was going to stand by his side. During an interview with Vulture in April 2018, 3 months after the news came out, Seth Rogen was asked, "Is it fair to say that the allegations didn't change anything about your willingness to work with him in the future?" And he responded saying yes. From this point, things were quiet for a while, and Franco kept a low profile. But in October of the following year, he got hit where it hurts. 2 of his former students, Sarah Kaplan and Tony Gall, filed lawsuit against him and 2 other men who worked alongside him at Studio 4. The lawsuit alleged that Franco sought to create a pipeline of young women who were subjected to his personal and professional sexual exploitation in the name of education. They were seeking an unspecified amount of damages, and for any videos of sex scenes from Studio 4 to be destroyed. Franco's lawyer denied the accusations and called the lawsuit ill-informed, saying that James will not only defend himself, but will also seek damages from the plaintiffs and their attorneys for filing this scurrilous, publicity-seeking lawsuit. However, in February 2021, it was reported that a settlement had been reached, with Franco and his business partners agreeing to pay over $2.2 million. Before legal fees, $670,500 went to Sarah Taylor Kaplan, $223,500 went to Tony Gall, and the rest went to other students of the school who were affected. As part of the settlement, Franco didn't admit any wrongdoing, but his reputation was irreversibly
Man tried to start a cult like Leto did, man. It just didn't work out, homie.
damaged. 3 months after the settlement was
crazy.
reached, Seth Rogen did an interview with the Sunday Times where he said he has no future plans to work with Franco. He said, "What I can say is that I despise abuse and harassment, and I would never cover or conceal the actions of someone doing it, or knowingly put someone in a situation where they're around someone like that." He also explained that he has 2 regrets, saying, "I do look back at the joke I made on SNL in 2014, and I very much regret making that joke. It was a terrible joke, honestly. And I also look back to that interview in 2018 where I comment that I would keep working with James. And the truth is, I haven't, and I don't plan to right now." Later that year, Franco did an interview where he finally opened up about everything that happened, including where things were at with Seth.
I just want to say, I absolutely love Seth Rogen. I worked with him for 20 years. We didn't have one fight. For 20 years, not one fight. He was my absolute closest work friend, collaborator. What he said is true. You know, we aren't working together right now, and we don't have any plans to work together. Of course, it was hurtful, you know, in context, but I get it. You know, he had to answer for me because I was silent. He had to answer.
I mean, it's not a good look to be hanging out with somebody that's got as much shit going on as this fucking guy.
For me, and I don't want that.
He spoke about his alcohol addiction as a teen and how he got sober, but explained that something took its place which was arguably more harmful, an addiction to sex.
On the side, I'm acting out now in all these other ways, and I couldn't see it. Even my sponsor was like, you know, who's happily married, he was like, "Look, whatever happens, but, you know," because I had girlfriends. I could never be faithful to anybody, so I cheated on everyone. He's like, "Look, the cheating is dishonest. I don't think that's good for your sobriety. But if you're not dating someone and you want to go and hook up, like whatever happens between 2 consenting adults is fine." Like, that's what he said. The problem was I took that and I ran with it and used it as an excuse to, you know, just hook up all over the place. And it was like, well, we're being honest here, right? Completely blind to power dynamics or anything like that, but also completely blind to people's feelings. The behavior spun out to a point where it was like I was hurting everybody.
Later in the interview, he was asked about the sex scenes class he held at Studio 4, as well as the allegations that the school was used as a pipeline of young women to sexually exploit.
Why would someone have at least that perception, and why would they accuse you of that?
Look, I'll admit, I did sleep with students. I didn't sleep with anybody in that particular class, but over the course of my teaching, I did sleep with students, and that was wrong. There were certain instances where, you know what, I was in a consensual thing with a student, and I shouldn't have been.
Franco coming out and revealing all of this was unexpected, to say the least. You've got to remember, this was almost 4 years after the initial allegations were made, and for the most part, he'd been off the grid during that time. Still, it was good that he finally addressed everything despite it being so late. In recent times, he's been trying to make somewhat of a comeback to acting, taking on roles in smaller scale or independent projects. He's set to play Fidel Castro in the upcoming indie film Elena of Cuba, despite the casting decision being met with backlash. During an October 2024 interview with Variety, he explained that he's made peace with everything that happened, and he responded to being asked if he's still in touch with Seth Rogen, saying, "No, I haven't talked to Seth. I love Seth. We had 20 great years together, but I guess it's over. And not for a lack of trying. I've told him how much he's meant to me. James Franco went from Hollywood's golden boy to a cautionary tale of how quickly fame can disappear. He had it all. Big movies, awards, and a best friend by his side. But his actions cost him everything.
Man got so goddamn horny, he kept trying to fuck everything and everybody. God damn, dude. That's fucking crazy. Alright. It's 1 o'clock. It's not too bad. Probably gonna have to. I'm gonna keep an eye on the time because I got a couple things I gotta do today. A lot of fucking walking I'm about to do. That's all I do. It's a lot of walking. I think I'm gonna try to play half sword. I'm not good at half sword, but I need to practice. It's just a little bit of practice and I'll do better. Choose level of displayed violence. It's so weird. It's all done by your mouse. It's like swinging around a wet fucking noodle. Oh, I just fucking hurt myself. I want it chopped. Fuck it.
Squandro. Speaking of terms, not
Let's
of
try to
friends.
fight somebody, dude. Carnage. Single. We'll go Carnage, bro. Fuck it. You bastard. Oh, he got me.
No! Have mercy on me. Be not the cause of my death.
How do I... They just... What the fuck? It's a menu, bro. I want to change up what the fuck I'm playing with here.
Stein die Hand, good sire. Let us not bloodshed come.
Let's try this. Fuck you, bitch. Suck my ass, bro. How did I even survive that? Did I just fucking survive?
Schnauzer!
Come on, you bitch. Look up. You fucking donkey.
I cry thee mercy. I got my plea, and I got...
Damn, they got me good, bro.
Let cooler heaviness prevail on this day.
Yeah, let's do this. I walked right into some bullshit. Fuck.
Let reason rule and where rage might reign.
Throwing hands, bitch. It's all about throwing some hands, motherfucker. Oh, shit. I give up. Single combat, bitch. Let's do this. Yeah. Suck my nuts. Suck my nuts. Your mama a bitch, son. Yeah, I won something for once. I won something for once. Let's go, boy. Yeah, gotcha. Gotcha. Oh, dude. That's 2 wins in a row. 2 wins in a row, boys. Let's get it. Let's get it. Yep. Oh, I won. I won. Yeah. Oh, dude.
What gain is there in blood?
Dude, that's 3 wins in a row, boys. Come on. 3 wins in a row. Oh, you got me. You got me. Ooh, that was a good one.
We seek no quarrel with thee, nigh the kin.
Carnage. I won. You were looking at me, bitch. This is my first carnage I won. Everybody must die. I'm sorry. Dissect that bitch. I use you for practice, son. You're still alive? Oh, I chopped his head off, dude. Oh.
Seeking we are proud for our people's sake.
Oh, I chopped his shit. Let's try this. Yeah. Yeah. Got him. Yeah. Let's go gangbang this dude. Ain't no mercy, boy. Don't give up. He's dead. Beat his ass. Yeah. Woo. Oh, I died still. Fuck, that was a good one. I like that mode. Damn. Let's get this going, dude. Carnage.
I got my plea, and I got this. Grant me leave to live, not because of my death.
Carnage. Oh, that was a good one.
go! My God's bone!
Damn.
Squandro!
Spoiler. I don't know how to grab shit specifically, but yeah, it's all about that figure eight, boy. Come on, bitch. Okay, come on, do the monkey with me. Oh yeah. Oh, I got you. Oh, how did I go down too? Unconscious. Oh, I killed him while he knocked me out, I guess. Got your leg. Oh, we got. Oh, I got his leg off. I got him. I got him. Oh, I died. Fuck you. I chopped his leg off. You gotta get the big sword. Come on. It's really, as a peasant, it's just whoever lands the first blow. Would it be up here? There we go. Play demo.
Thy driver is proved. No need for more proof.
Single combat. Come on, let's do the monkey, boy. You're dead. Wow.
Well, yes.
Win one. Winner. There we go.
Might we not finden a path?
Win two. Oh, I should win Carnage. Oh, win three. Win three, son. Oh. Let's go Carnage. We'll go Carnage.
Darn.
Ah.
Have mercy on me. I spent belief.
Ah. I was hoping. I was trying to figure out how to grab that shit. Couldn't get it.
Let us parley rather than parison.
Single combat. Who we fighting to the death? Fuck. I died. Yep.
Too much hath been lost, while loss and more.
There we go. Thou hast lost thy life. Thouest thou die? Ah, fuck. He should have died too, man.
Now, sir.
Yeah, I like the smell. Come on. Come on, my boys.
Yes.
Why the fuck is my character doing that, bro?
Hedgehog.
Let not thy hand be heavy upon me.
Fuck.
For sure.
Look up, you fucking idiot. Damn shame. Oh. Give me the class I want.
Hold on, please. For whalers are net bad bow. Oh!
Look at him, bro. Somebody get his bitch ass so we can win this. Get him from the back, dude. Come on. Come on. Don't give up. To the very end. To the very end. Come on. Come on. We got this. No. You got to fucking kill him. Come on. Ah, no, my.
Let not thy hand be heavy upon me.
One more. One more, then we gotta go.
Yes. Coward. Harlot.
What the fuck? Bro. Look at the motherfucker. Look up.
Hooks. Blimey! Mind you could. Coward. Sharp. Wife! Hell away! Gosh!
Do me no harm, but let me live.
Yes!
Fuck.
Be not because of my death. Have mercy on me.
Fuck.
Ragamuffin!
Yeah, boys. Chopped them up.
Speaking of herds.
Boom. Yeah.
Rauche! Might we not finden a path of peace? Stein die Hand, good sire. Let us not bloodshed.
Come on. This is how we do it.
I got my plea, and I got this.
Get too into it. Start banging on the shit like fuck, fuck, fuck. Oh yeah, buddy boy. Ah, he got me.
Way me kindness on the forbearance. Nein!
Jam. Alright. I gotta get off. That was pretty fun. I gotta go do some adult shit. Hopefully I can get on later.